Welcome back to the channel. 30 minutes after time. We've got Jared Dillon, Kieran Preston, and Callum Quigley, and for the Spurs Liverpool preview. Jared's a lifelong Spurs fan, meets us a bit of a Liverpool rat, and Callum's a very sensible Liverpool fan, so we've balanced it up a wee bit. Boys, how are you all feeling? We'll start with you, Jared. Big Spurs fan. I know anyone, about 4 or 5 messages there. People asking me, is the show going ahead? But as I told the boys off camera, there's nothing simple when Jared Dillon's involved. So, Jared, what was the story?
It takes you longer to get ready for the biggest show in the country. You know what I mean, Gareth? Sorry, boys. Like, you know, when you're coming on the biggest show in the country, you have to have everything right. So it took me even half an hour longer, but we're here now, you know. But since I've been a young boy, when the fixtures come out, I always look for Spurs Arsenal. But the second fixture I always look for is Spurs Liverpool, because we're indebted with Liverpool fans in this country, and the ribbon that we've been taking this last, 20, 30 years, probably when maybe even back there a wee bit more than that, when Hansen and all them boys was playing. Like, well, we had a half-decent team in the 80s that pushed Liverpool, but ever since it's been sort of them on top, us maybe scripting an odd result here and there, but I think it's going to be a different game this Saturday.
Kieran, good to have you back on the channel. Top guest as always. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Apart from the Chelsea game at the start of the season, first game, you know, you didn't really know what you're up against, but getting into it now, 2 teams bang on form. It's so far our biggest game this season, without a doubt. We've got off to a good start. Spurs are going to be obviously a bigger test, especially I think after the result of the weekend. And I'm pretty confident in the team itself, but really looking forward to it. Can't look for it.
Callum, always good to have you on the channel as well. You know, you've been very, very excited this season. And you know, for someone that's usually level-headed, you're getting carried away a wee bit the last couple of games. But no, always good to have you on. How are you feeling? Obviously, how are you in general? And there's a big game on Saturday, obviously, to look forward to.
I'm all good. I always good to be back on. I love this fixture. It's apart from the big ones with Everton, Man United, and stuff like that. There, in terms of the typically the way both teams play, it's always probably one of the best fixtures this season. So, I'm buzzing. I can't wait to get talking about it.
All right, let's get straight into it. It is the big game of the weekend. Jared, you know, Spurs come into the season, lost Harry Kane. I know I had these 2 boys on the channel at the start of the season, and they didn't give Spurs much of a prayer, finishing anywhere near that top 4, top 6. People, some of the pundits said, even like our good friend Paul Merson, it'll be a struggle to make a top 10. Jared, have you been surprised by this Spurs start to the season? And how much of it do you think is down to the new manager, Ange Postecoglou?
Well, I think to start with, it's the belief's something different. I was disillusioned from Mourinho. To be fair, Mourinho was pushed out before a cup final, and we brought on Conte. And to be fair, Conte done all right at the start. The first season got that top 4, and then things just went downhill. And it was all about Conte. It was nothing to do with the club. The players weren't just doing it. Something was fundamentally wrong in the dressing room, and even the way we played, everybody was depressed and couldn't watch them. And you know, it wasn't the Spurs that we knew. And I think it's completely down to the new manager, because Basuma couldn't get a game last year. Sarr maybe played a couple of games. The likes of Harry Kane carried that team for last year. Eric Dyer was always a mistake in him. Midfield, Højbjerg and he played with Højbjerg last year. It was Skip. Bentancur. But Bentancur is like one of our better players, but that Kertlich anyway, he ruled him out anyway. But to be fair, Kulusevski went off the boil after coming on in January and having a fantastic, end of that season. And then, last year was all about Conte. Then he knew things weren't right. He was living in a hotel at the training ground. His family was in Italy, and the doctor died, and his best mate Fiali died. And I don't think Conte wanted to be there. And that was
Austrian nearly died with the new, and it's sorry that.
But to be fair, Ange has done what he done at Celtic. You know what I mean? His record speaks for itself. Anywhere he's been in Australia, he's always done well. And like when you think about Klopp, where Klopp come from Borussia Dortmund. He won a league and he won a couple of cups. And the same pedigree. The only thing about Ange is I don't know what he installs to that team, but he's got them believing they're decent players. Let's face it, the clubs they came from, the signings that we made, they came from decent clubs, and they started to play. But there's something fundamentally went wrong last year with Conte that just blew all their confidence, and it was all about him. But he tried to blame the players, and then they lost your top talisman. Like I thought, like every other Spurs fan thought at the start of the year, we're shot here. We'll be lucky we get mid-table. You thought that, but you always had loved and hope. But the transformation that Ange has brought to the club from top to bottom has made so much a difference. And, we're going the right direction. And Liverpool will be a good test for us. We've already been tested by Arsenal. The comeback from Sheffield United was unreal. Like you were there, Gareth. I haven't been over this year, but watching it, it must have been some...
There's a couple of fellas beside me were in tears. I think that just shows you where we were at, as you say. It was a really, really dark 4 years under Conte, Mourinho. Nuno even had a stunt there in between. And there was really nothing to look forward to and be excited. Even when we did one, you kind of felt that it was peppering over a lot of the cracks. But mates, we'll come on and talk about Liverpool. Not to say it's a similar situation to Spurs, but I think a lot of people at the start of the season wrote off Liverpool. It was mainly talking about Man City, Arsenal as the two sort of contenders again. I think Liverpool were sort of put into the bracket of they'll probably get into the top four, or they'll be challenging for top four. We have a comment from Stefan on screen here saying that he hopes we don't celebrate a draw like we did against Arsenal. And drawing with Liverpool is not like an achievement. So, Stefan's been pretty vocal here on, Liverpool aren't really contenders. It's all about Man City and Arsenal. Mates, you were one person that says that Liverpool will be challenging this year. Do you feel vindicated in what you were saying pre-season? And are you even surprised in such a short space of time, like a brand new midfield, and there's been no real issues as of yet? Liverpool have won all their games comfortably, after that Chelsea draw at the start of the season.
As you say there, I did say that we would definitely be pushing for the league this year. Last year was an absolute disaster. Most people would have thought, we'll just take a top four. But that's not the mentality. Klopp installs these players. And what we were lacking last year was energy in the midfield. It was clear for everybody to see. You watch the last few games like that we've played, you've got boys pressing up high up a pitch, them young boys all midfield. So obviously McAllister, it's actually starting from a front three, pressing on the ball. And that's all back now. They've young players all over the pitch, good energy. They've a wee bit of balance with, as I say, with youth. And then like the likes of Van Dijk and at the back. Well, the back is obviously still an issue for us. But they kind of remind me, if you score one, we're going to score two, we're going to score three, we're going to score four. That's the kind of way they're going this year. It's kind of like what happened when they were under Rodgers. Rodgers had them like that. Never mind about defending. It was just all about all-out attack and football. But Klopp calls it Liverpool 2.0. And I'm definitely not going to disagree with him. Like we're a completely different team than we were last season, and it's onwards and upwards from here. And the title is ours this year. I told you at the start.
Hey, calm down, mate. Calm down. Hey, Dolly's here. Dolly will not put up with me that shit tonight.
To be fair, the players that Liverpool brought on last year, like the Diaz and them boys, all, it takes time to settle. They've had a season now, so that's the difference in Liverpool. The only thing Meets is right in what he's saying, and you too, Gareth, that, the midfield has settled down. That's what they were lacking. If I was looking at it as a Spurs fan, where I think we can get at them is defensive, because I'm not quite sure if Van Dijk has turned the corner again since 2 seasons ago.
He says, "How are the lads?" Fair play. Hey, good to see you watching, Jordy. Callum, we'll come on to you because, start of the season, you were quite sort of skeptical about a title challenge, and you says you would wait there after the transfer window had closed. I know throughout the summer, Gravenberch wasn't your sort of the midfielder you wanted. Endo obviously come on, you wanted someone else. Casido, Lavia were linked. But have you changed your mind based on the last few weeks that do you think Liverpool have enough? Are you satisfied with what they done in the summer?
On paper, I don't think it was amazing, but when you have Klopp, you always have a chance. The way I think he has to get some massive credit. We've changed a whole midfield in one summer. We've Sabasai, McAllister, and Jones is getting games now. So the way he's changed that midfield is unbelievable. And as I said, I think we probably have the best attacking depth in the league as well. At front five, with Diaz, Nunes, Jota, Gakpo, and Salah. I don't think there's a better front five in the league. So we can rotate them every week as well. So I think we'll score bucket loads of goals. And I don't necessarily agree with the defensive issues because apart from City, we conceded a few goals in the league so far. So I think we have turned the corner, to be honest.
Well, Callum's firing shots at Dilly already. Do you know what we're going to do before we come on to talk more about the game? We're going to sort of build up to the fixture in itself, and I'll do that in a wee second after I read Martin's comment out. Who do you want to start on Sunday, Gomers or Trent? I think Spurs fans would rather Trent starting. Do you want Martin? We'll come on to that in just a bit. We'll discuss the teams, and we're going to do a combined 11 as well. But look, lads, it's always an entertaining fixture. Why, Jared, do you think this fixture always provides so much entertainment? I mean, even last season when both teams weren't at their best, we seen two great games, especially the game in Anfield where Spurs were 3-0 down, come back to 3-3, and typical, they concede a goal in the last minute. But why do you think there's so much entertainment in this fixture, Jared? I mean, and talk about maybe your favourite game. I know you and my dad went to watch Spurs Liverpool, and Ben Noah scored a free kick, and then he says Big Basson scored the winner. And I actually remember that game because I was sitting in the metro with mates when I was younger. So, why do you think there's so much entertainment?
Well, that was my first Spurs Liverpool fixture that I'd seen at the old White Hart Lane. Me and your dad went, that's right. And even outside the ground, we were chatting. We were sitting in a bar that normally away fans don't get on. And these two Scousers were sitting there and they were chatting to us. And then we went down the Tottenham High Road and there were boys that couldn't get drunk from bars and they were saying, you wouldn't go and get us this. And to be fair, they are good supporters. Like there's no problems with them. Like we all, it's not like a lot. We know what it's like for London clubs and you're going, you have to stay away from them. But Liverpool fans are the same sort of as Tottenham. They're friendly. They enjoy each other's company at times. And to be fair, it's been renowned from years ago about fast-flowing free football. Put it that way. And to be fair, that day I mind sitting nervous. Me and your dad was sitting in the stand, sitting nervous. Carragher was playing the back. Steven Gerrard was playing.
It was the opening game of the season, wasn't it? I think that was the year Spurs broke into the top four for the first time. So that was a fair bit ago now. But as you said, over the years, I think this is two teams that are built on attacking football.
Yeah, and then Modric was in his element that day. Like Modric just controlled the game. It was the first time I think I ever seen Modric control a full game. Like he was playing up against Steven Gerrard, and it just passed by him like every time. Like you know what I mean. And it was a highlight. And then we had another one. Then what was the one that who scored? Was there 4-1 or something then? 4-1, wasn't it?
That's the last time he's beat us 6 years ago.
That was a Wembley, but
that's actually the title of the video. 6 years ago, that game was 6 years ago in October now, so it'll be a month off 6 years. Was the last time Spurs beat Liverpool in any competition. So, mates, what about you? I mean, this is always a very entertaining fixture for the neutral. I think both sets of fans enjoy it, but I think even over the years, even when Liverpool's been the stronger team throughout, maybe bar a couple of years with Redknapp and when Liverpool were going for a bit of a dip under Hodgson, but for the large part of the Premier League, Liverpool have always been the stronger team, but seems to be very tight, entertaining games. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. As Jared alluded there, as and yourself, like they're two teams that are like basically based on attacking, free-flowing football. But even though Spurs haven't been set up that way in the last couple of seasons, with the managers that they've had, for some reason when they play us, all that goes out the window, and it's just the end-to-end. And I don't understand it because you're thinking like, why don't you play like that every week? But it just seems to be when it's against us, you just go for it. Maybe you just fancy yourselves, but I don't know why it is. I think maybe there's not a lot of maybe like respect between the teams. That no, it's just like right.
What,
You have a
what,
goal.
what about, I mean, do you have any, like, I suppose there's one memory probably sticks out in your head, but is there any memories you really enjoy against Spurs? Jared spoke about being at a Spurs Liverpool game. But I'm not sure if you've been to any Spurs Liverpool games, but is there, aside from that, has there been any memories in your head that stick out?
No, well, was it one many moons ago? But I can't remember because it was full. But like last year's one was eclipses anything in the last couple of seasons. You know what I mean? From a 3-goal lead, back to 3 each, in the 90-something minute, and then they score in the 94th minute, the winner. And
my dad saying Eric Edmond.
Controversial one or two,
Eric, I remember that goal Eric Edmond scored in a 1-1 draw. Put Spurs 1-0 up. I was like a 45-yard screamer. Callum, what about you? Any famous memories you can think of Spurs? I know you're at a couple of Spurs. I remember that own goal. You were at that game the year he's came second to City. The first time. It's probably the one that sticks out, but probably maybe the Champions League final as well.
I was sitting on the cop that day. I seen the ball trickle the line. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were going to win the league that day. But apart from that, probably the Champions League final. It was a shock. That's probably the only game that has been a shocking game that I can remember in a long time. It was the final, but it didn't matter as long as you won the final. But as Meat said, I had that 4-3 last year. You can't write stuff like that there with Charlton at the top off, and then we run up and score. Like, it just there's something about this fixture. I don't know what it is, and I think we're going to have another cracker on Saturday, to be honest.
Yeah. Jared, Callum alluded to it there with that own goal in the last minute. For as well as that Liverpool record they've done against Spurs, do you think Spurs have been unlucky in certain games against Liverpool? They've maybe shot themselves in the foot by mistake, or maybe an own goal, or they've not took their chances. I mean, I was reading today, Spurs hit the post or hit the woodwork 6 times in the 2 games last year against Liverpool. Which is crazy to think. Normally in a game you might hit the post once or twice, but they go, I think it was 3 times in each game they hit the post. And I can vividly remember all our games where we've hit the post or hit the bar, and own goals or mistakes from Eric Dyer, mistakes from Lucas Moura. Are Spurs just completely unlucky in this fixture as well as Liverpool have done?
Definitely, Gareth, because there's been at least 4 or 5 you can count. They say that we have been, as you say, hitting the post a couple of times. Eric Dyer giving that away. The Jota one, the last, that should have been a foul, like a build up the game, like. And then at home it hasn't been that way, but it seems to be at Anfield. We seem to go out. It doesn't phase us going a goal down. Keane always pulls us back in. Son got a goal or 2. You know what I mean? So it's always been. I think we just need that wee bit of luck. And we seem to be getting it a wee bit with Ange, like when you take the 70. But maybe that's because you're away from home, you drop off, or you attack, you give it all, and you just don't have the luck. Or I don't know about the other 2 boys, but I'm sure they've came away from it saying, we were lucky today to get out of that. Like, you know what I mean? Because
what about you? I mean, obviously it's easy for us Spurs fans to sit and say maybe that we were unlucky in them games, but are you a wee bit worried that a lot of them games could have went the other way as well, and that maybe Spurs are due a bit of luck in this fixture, because that's so often how things swing?
Well, every year you're thinking, when you hear them talking up a match beforehand, they're going, "Oh, Spurs haven't won here in so many years," and whatever, and you're thinking, this has to end someday. Like, it's not going to be forever. But then you look at, especially as we're talking about there, the 4-3 last year, Spurs thought that was it. Concentration went as soon as they scored. You know what I mean? There was still time in the clock, and maybe that's where you're missing out. You're just not headstrong enough. Under their managers, where that's not going to happen under Ange. If you get that, we're still, especially now the way the games are, there's 10, 15 minutes getting added on the end of games, so you just don't know. But like, you could say that it was all over celebrated last year. Richarlison was running about with his top off, and and they just all thought that was it. The heads went, and we have our point. And then they don't set up right then from a kick-off, and next thing you're on a goal behind again. But one thing's for sure, like, this is, if Liverpool went 2 up, I still wouldn't be comfortable. If you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? No, it's still because we have still their defensive frailties, and that's fair enough. But just over the years, as we're talking about, like, it's goals galore in this game. And if Liverpool 2 up half time, the game's not over. Like, there's no way. But there
was 10 goals in the 2 games last year.
See, it's ridiculous. Like, that, we could go away there and score 3 goals away from home and not win the game. that could happen. Although I don't think it will happen, but it could.
Callum, what about you? I mean, again, same sort of question. Has it been a lack of mentality from Spurs? Individual errors have come into play, or would you put it down to maybe Liverpool's mentality as well, that they never give up? And a lot of them goals have been. I know a lot of them have been at Anfield, but there's been a lot of last-minute goals from Liverpool as well. And I was reading they've done it not just the Spurs since Klopp's come in. I think they've scored the most 90+ minute goals. So there has to be some science behind it, doesn't there, Callum?
I think it's just the belief Klopp has in boys, and I think as Liverpool as well, we're known for it. We always have them big moments, the big nights, the late goals. So I know everyone kind of jokes about it, but about the
Rocky Max in the chat, lads. When they pull up to the stadium, I'm not sure what he means, but good to have you on, Mickey. Come back this way a bit more. It's a bit vague. We can't really make out what that means, but definitely come back this and stay in the chat.
No, I was just saying about. I know everyone jokes about it. No, the Spursy mentality. You just have that. Because I remember at the Spurs game, I was at whenever Sissoko and I think it was Son was running 1v1 against Van Dijk, and he just balloons over the bar. Just have them moments, and then I know Son. I can remember Son. I can't remember what fixture it was, but he's at the bar, he's at the post, no one big chances and big moments. So I was always a mixed thing. I just don't think they have the belief. I think which has changed now. I agree with Jared. I think Ange has put the belief back in these now. So I don't agree with me. I think if I go 2-0 up, it's game over. But I think he's will show more fight than what he's would over the previous years if that was to happen.
Even the stadium feels different now, Gareth. You were there. You seen it, the Sheffield United game.
It does, but I still think in them two games we played a poor Man United team. Sheffield United battered by Newcastle 8-0. So this will be our hardest home game for sure. But the boys mentioned it there, Jared. The Spursy tag. I mean, a lot of people were saying they wouldn't beat United. A lot of people were saying that we wouldn't come back against Sheffield United. When 9 times out of 10 Spurs teams like that don't come back when they're 1-0 down in injury time. And then everyone says, well, it's only Sheffield United. They'll go and play Arsenal, and they usually lose at the Emirates. And despite being behind twice, we come out with a draw and possibly could have won the game. If it had went on, I think we lost a couple of players as well. I think that shows maybe the squad isn't there when Madison saw it off. But in that second half, it definitely felt like Spurs could maybe go on and win the game. But this again is another big test. Liverpool, if Spurs were to win against Liverpool, Jared, do you think that Spursy tag can be shook off? Because if you come through them games unbeaten, and you're sitting in the top 4 after 7 games, and if you look at that, you would have played United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, 3 of the teams that everyone expects to be up there fighting and challenging. So, what do you think?
Look, you see the Spursy tag. It's one of these things that rival fans do and other people chat about. At the end of the day, the year that we lost the league, that Leicester had won, everybody was out to beat us that year because they wanted Leicester, they won. And at the end of the day, we didn't do what our noisy neighbours done. We're never in front in the league and threw it away to Man City. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the tag, I think, is a wee bit oversessed. At the end of the day, the way that the clubs run, the way Levy does things, and the managers don't get their players, there is times that concentration levels fall. But I think what's wrong with the club is a lot of the players coming on, because of the history, they think we're a big club. We're a big club to a certain degree, but we're not as big as the likes of Man City, likes of Liverpool, the likes of Man United. All them teams has won trophies since the Premier League came about. Sure, what have we won? One cup? It's right to say there's something not fundamentally right, but they say Spurs. I know it's just a joke with a jag, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the transition's going to take a while. It's not going to be just built over this season. I think Ange is going to need at least another 2 if Levy backs him, and see what way the fans have stayed with him, because yourself, Gareth, I didn't renew my membership this year, and I've been a member since I was 17, and I didn't renew my membership this year because I fell out of love with Spurs because of Levy and because of Conte. They drove that wage, but I reapplied again there a couple of weeks ago because I was at my what's end, and you know what I mean? We had nothing to play for, so how could you call people Spursy? We think we're a big club. We are a big club, but we're not big on the playing field over the last 10, 15 years, you know what I mean? Apart from Poch taking us to the Champions League final and Champions League qualification, nearly every year, bar one, guaranteed. Pushing Leicester, the only team they pushed Leicester that year. So is the rest of the teams all Liverpool or United or whatever? You know what I mean? It's only
It's only what I'd say. And Jordy's saying he thinks it could be a very nasty 2-1-1 for Spurs. He thinks it's going to be nasty. And Jared, you must have a fan club on it, because Vibav's saying he thinks it's going to be very exciting and a lot of goals expected. See, this is what happens, boys. You bring a big name like Jared Dillon on, and he brings a crowd with him. And he thinks that Spurs are playing extremely well and they will pose a serious challenge to Liverpool. Thanks for your comment. Boys, we'll come on to talk about Liverpool again, because, you know, everyone's been saying this Liverpool team looked like Liverpool 2.0. Mates, can this team be as good as the Liverpool team we've seen over the last few seasons? I know they had a dip last year, but the team's been refreshed. You know, if you look at the players they brought under the players that's left, do you think this team can be as good as or even better?
I think the players that have been brought on definitely improved. I think they're better than what left. It's going to take time. So it is. We've got off to a great start, but I didn't expect them to go as well as they're going now at the minute. And then we'll just have to wait and see.
You told me back in July they'd won their first 7 games.
No, it says no, they would draw 1. I predicted it all right. But no, it's hard not to get carried away. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the most optimistic Liverpool fan you'll probably ever meet. But you try and keep your feet in the ground. But just when I look at the league this year, I do believe that all over the pitch, maybe bar defence, and Callum reckons that we've turned a corner. Hopefully he is right. And that'll come to fruition now, hopefully in the next few weeks, and we'll know what's happening there. But I just think depth-wise, as he said about the front five, we've loads of cover now in midfield. We actually do have a bit of cover at the back too. That young boy Quancy, he seems to be a very, very good player. So no, look, as I say, I'm seriously optimistic. I do think we will win the league this year. I've said on a programme before that I'm quite happy to forget about all the other cup competitions, Europa League and stuff like that, and just concentrate on the league. And then after this season, after the young boys that are proper bled under the team, maybe go on the hunt then for your doubles and trebles and stuff in the future. But this season for me is all about concentrating on the league, getting back first and foremost under the top 4, the Champions League again. But I just genuinely do believe in it.
Do you see Saturday as like an opportunity to put a statement out? Because as you said, the start of the season, they did play some difficult games, but Chelsea, as we've seen now, are struggling. Newcastle have recovered in the last few games, and as much as you thought, well, they won the Newcastle game, I think it was a bit of a freak game in terms of, too great. You took his goals well, Nunes, but all or not, it was all about sticking on there. Was it one of them games, a red card come on, they play, and 9 times out of 10, you probably don't win that game. And then you beat Villa, who have struggled in all the other big games, but again, a good result. West Ham was a good one as well, but they were all at home as well, Villa and West Ham. Do you think this is the biggest test you've had yet? And this is where we make our statement on Saturday.
Definitely, because as you said there, the Chelsea game was a home game, the first home game, first game of the season, so nobody really knew what both sides were going to bring. And I'm actually thinking to myself, seeing how poor they actually are going. That's actually 2 points we dropped. They were dropped straight away, in the opening game. And I'm hoping that doesn't come back to haunt us in the future. And I say the reverse fixtures now are at home against them too, Newcastle and Chelsea. So Spurs have got off their flyer, there's no doubt about it. And then there's a new mentality in that team. This man, I backed them from the start. They do well with Spurs. I genuinely did. I thought it was a cracking signing. I was one of the people that backed them. And I've heard plenty of other people laughing, going from, he's coming to Celtic to the Premier League. But this man management's second to none. You know what I mean? Just the way Klopp is. These players are going out the pitch thinking they're world beaters. And look at these last week against Arsenal. Any other time, getting one behind against Arsenal, these were done and dusted. It was over. The heads would have dropped. And it's not going to be like that now. The fans in the stadium will make their voice known on Saturday. They'll have had a few pints before the match. The atmosphere will be rocking. And it's definitely going to be a massive test. You're going up against the Spurs side and Spurs fans that haven't felt or been playing this well in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Callum, what about you? I mean, do you agree with Meats that this team can be as good as the team of the last 4 years or so that, won the Champions League, won the Premier League, won the FA Cup, League Cup, were beaten, was it 2 Champions League finals, and finished second twice to Man City by a point. So obviously it's a big target. They get back to that, but do you see resemblances and how the new players have come on? And you have to say as well, they've kept the back fives kind of the same. I know Konate's come on. For like the likes of Mano Matip's still there, but Konate's seen as a starter now, and you've got just that new midfield, and obviously the forward line's been refreshed a wee bit. I probably think that's maybe where the one area at the minute, even though it is quite good. Mane and Firmino were phenomenal as well, so it's going to take Nunez and the likes of Diaz, maybe an hour season to get up that level. But do you think Jamie Carragher sort of says this week that he thinks Liverpool need an hour season to be title winners or title challengers? Mead seems to think it can happen this year. Where are you at with?
It's hard. As Klopp said, I think it's unfair to compare this team now to the team that we've all been watching for the last 5 or 6 years. It's going to be a completely different team.
Dennis is saying he thinks Liverpool will be too strong on Saturday. Good to have you in the chat, Dennis.
In terms of one, it's a tough one. It's the first season now of a new era, I suppose. But you still have a team leader, as I said the other night in the other podcast in the Compton. You have a team filled there with quadruple challengers who went within 2 games of 1-0 Athletics. You have the experience there, and then you have now the Spursy, the new midfield, looking the new energy now. I think lucky's the wrong word, because if you won over 30 games, you deserve it. But I think City as the favourites, like obviously they always are, they always will be. But I would lean more towards probably next year. I think we are short. I don't think Endo's as good as what other people might say, and McAllister's not a 6, and he's playing there every week now. He'll play 6 on Saturday, and I think he can be exposed as much as I love him. But I would say I would tend to agree more with Carragher that we might need another season or another summer to get maybe 1 or 2 more heads, and I don't think we're far away at all, and I don't think we'll be far away come May. But I will be shocked if they see a Man City don't want it, something bad will have to happen.
Vibab saying he thinks your attack's very good. Szoboszlai, he will speak about in the combined 11, I'm sure, is very good, and Nunez is getting better. Defense is shaky and just need to concede less, because I think me and the other Liverpool fans are not worried about goals. Would you agree with that if Liverpool are going to win the league, they'll have to shoot their way to glory? They'll have to score bags, loads of goals.
Well, look, I told you in July, we're going to score an absolute bag full this year. We'll probably get close to 100 goals, but it's going to be just a basketball match, really. But in terms of, I don't know, I'm kind of beating the drum about our defence being good again, because we have legs in front of them. Only City have conceded less goals in this league so far, and 2 of them games we've been playing with 10 men, and then against Wolves we started with Kwanzaa, Matip, and Gomez at the back. So by no means our first choice team. So look, I think our defence has turned, and as I was trying to defend them all last year, when you have no legs in front of them, and you're going to get peppered, you're going to concede goals. So now you have Szoboszlai, who he's doing the work of 3 men nearly on his own. So, and then with McAllister and Jones, I think Jones is, look, I was never his biggest fan, but I think he's turned a massive corner. I think he's Klopp loves him. He played well last night, and kind of right back role the way Trent played. Look, I think we're going to go strength to strength, and our defence isn't as bad as people were saying.
Jared, I mean, Jurgen Klopp's been an instrumental figure for Liverpool. And Spurs kind of had that to a certain extent with Pochettino. We outwon him the trophies. He was there for 5.5 years, and Spurs pulled the plug and then went down a different route. As Levy said in the fan forum last week, he holds his hands up. He got it wrong. He says they were great managers, but they weren't right for the club. Do you feel that Ange is the type of manager that Spurs have been missing? And do you sense that, because I think he's got a lot more personality than Poch as well. I mean, it's not just Spurs fans who love him. I think if you look at the pundits on the TV, even opposition fans have says it's hard not to like him, the way he speaks, the way he conducts himself on the touchline. I mean, even that Northampton derby on Sunday, Arteta was running around crazy, whereas Ange just stood with his hands in his pocket. And even the Sheffield United game I was at, the whole bench ran onto the pitch. Ange didn't move a muscle. I think somebody actually jumped behind him, and it scared him, because he says he just they watch the game and he does his analysis after. So do you think, in a way, what I'm trying to say is Klopp's been a leader for Liverpool. Ange sort of represents that at Spurs, I think. Do you think he can be our Klopp figure?
For definite. There's nobody as got it as what I was when Poch left, and wasn't never a big Mourinho fan, and I thought we'd go back to pure football tactic, playing slow and all that. And Conte was the same. So, like, Conte was only here for a year. We didn't really get that good a look at him when he was at Chelsea. He did win the league when probably they weren't that great. But going back to Ange, he's so different. It's so different. The place feels so relaxed. He gets the best out of players. You can see what's happening. Basuma now is a complete different player. Starting to show his true credentials. Why we signed him. The likes of Sarr, young lad, only 21. You look at big Mickey van der Ven, just come on this season. And at the end of the day, like, he's been, he scored. To be fair, most of our goals that we give away this year have been own goals or penalties. Like, you know what I mean? Big Mickey, a penalty and an own goal, and Romero the same. But listen, he's installed under them. Look, if it happens, it happens. Just get on with it. What we do in the training field during the week is what way we play, and we stick to it. And then I don't know, maybe with Kane being away, Son's just picked up the mantle and he's going to cross his way. Lloris is not there now, so God knows what Lloris was like. He might be a Frenchman, but he might have totally different beliefs than what other players have.
Jared, see, for me, what I've enjoyed so far is, I know Kane leaving was obviously a big thing, and maybe that may be now, it may be a good thing the way things have fall into place, because I think he wants that kind of transitional forwards, 3 quick interchanging forwards, kind of how he played at Celtic. Obviously, he wanted to keep Kane, but I think whereas Mourinho and Conte, Kane was vital to the system. I'm not sure if Kane is as vital to this system. I think players like Basuma, Madison, and the way we're playing are more vital. And we're going to create chances anyway, so the goals will come. But I mean, I just think that he's the type of leader that we've been missing. We've got now, and I really think you could see him doing something, maybe carrying on where Pochettino was. Do you sense that at Spurs at the moment?
Definitely. It wasn't that he left Celtic. They heard the comments from all their fans about how good he was. Like, we all seen how good he was, but like, let's face it, you're playing on a Scottish league, and like, there only else Celtic and Rangers up there. But when he left, the amount of blogs and amount of stuff on social media talking about how good Ange was and what they seen week in, week out, how you get the best out of players. Like, he was bringing players out on from the likes of Japan and South Pacific Islands to play for Celtic. And like, you're standing in the middle of Glasgow in December, a hot freezing, and like, he was getting a tune out of them boys. Where the likes of other managers probably wouldn't get it, but that's the thing about it. Like, you look at the players. Jota got a big move to the Saudi league, and like, he can't even get on the team, but he made him the player, and he's doing the same with the likes of Basuma. He brought on a new keeper. Like, a new keeper to bring on, say, right, Lloris, you're not going to be our number one. Stick him on there. And at the start, he had a couple of hairy moments, but he's...
Jared, I think that's one of the best things he's done. See, players that let us down before. We heard the leadership team at Spurs was Kane, Lloris, Højbjerg, and Eric Dyer. Dyer and Lloris have been sidelined. Kane's obviously left the club, and Højbjerg's more of a big player. He's named a whole new leadership team with giving Sonny the armband, Madison vice captain, Romero vice captain. Do you think that was it was a very ballsy move, because that's how you can lose dressing rooms? But do you think that's a change that we needed? We needed, even on Saturday. I'm not going into this game where I think if we play really well, we've got a chance. Whereas before, I always thought we could play well, but Dyer will make a mistake, or Lloris will drop one into the net. Or something like that. I don't see as many liabilities in this team anymore.
No, that was always your biggest worry with Lloris and Dyer. This last 3 years, like, unbelievable amount of points.
Romero's still there, boys.
Well, no, what we'll do, we're going to, before we get into this combined 11, we have a comment on screen from James here. James is saying if we get the players, if we're still on it in January, get the players on. And I think that's a good point that James makes. There will be people say to me, you can't get the players in January, but Liverpool got Van Dijk in January. If you pay the money and the right players there, you can get somebody. So, in terms of what both teams can achieve this season, Liverpool, do you sort of see where Callum said maybe we're a player short? If Liverpool are maybe, a couple of points behind City, or maybe a couple of points ahead, January becomes a massive window and you go out and strengthen.
I can see what you're on about. I genuinely don't see it happening. No, I know there's a few moments there under Klopp's tenure where he has done it, but he's not really that type of manager to go out and start bringing boys in halfway through a season. I know he has done one or two, but not many. And generally everybody becomes overpriced. See if Liverpool are pushing for a league or whatever, there's 10
I think to be honest, Saudi Arabia have made everybody overpriced.
I
think they're going to come back in January as well, especially with being a European, Euros 2024. If players aren't playing for their club in January and they see an opportunity to move, they will. And if they feel that they can't get a move in Europe, and we've seen today, apparently now it's not just players and managers looking for referees now, Saudi Arabia are targeting. So it doesn't look like this is going to stop. So do you think, again, kind of like this summer was crazy, the Saudis could come in again in January and start a whole domino effect, and you could see like another summer like 2.0?
No, but the only thing I can see definitely happening is, I think already, I obviously don't know it, but I genuinely believe it. There's already a deal in the table for Salah in the summer next year. I think that he'll go. I don't think, by agreeing by something like that, there'll be no noise in January where they won't come back in. They might target all our players, which is fair enough. But the only one thing that Liverpool fans would probably worry about, is if they come back in for Salah, 150 million, 200 million, that would be a big dent for the rest of your season. And if we are in and about there come Christmas, Klopp's not going to let him go. Do you know what I mean? He's pivotal to the last 4 or 5 months of the season, and that's where you need him. So I can't see it being any disruption to us. I do think next summer he'll go, and it'll be plenty of time. As I say, you can't replace a player like that there in January. It's just impossible to do.
Yeah. Callum, what about you? I mean, you've said that, and I think James makes a good point. Would you be an advocate for, if we're anywhere near Man City or even top come January? I think Liverpool fans have said maybe we're a centre back short. In terms of cover, maybe a number 6 if a number 6 became available. Would you be an advocate for going on in January? Don't care if it wins us the league. You go out and get that player.
Obviously every fan would say aye, but I think historically Klopp's been extremely stubborn, even when it's gone bad last season. We were in the middle of last season, we were crying out for a midfielder when we went and bought Gakpo in January. I know he's a great player and all, I'm not disrespecting him, but buying Gakpo in January when we were looking for a midfielder was absolutely ludicrous. We probably would have got top 4 if we bought a midfielder over a Gakpo. So look, if we're playing well come January, Klopp will be thinking, let's just keep it the way it is. So look, I don't think we'll do much in January, to be honest. I'd really be really shocked. I think he's happy with the squad now. He's got on a whole new midfield. The attack's settled, the defense is settled. Look, they always turn around and say, look, whenever we want the player, we go and get him. But I just can't see it. I think they'll be waiting out the next summer to do the business again.
Yeah, and I've sort of put the emphasis on the word can when I ask you this, but what can Liverpool achieve this season? Do you think? I know you says you think Man City, but is this Liverpool team good enough? Do you think they can rack up 95, 96 points? They put Man City under pressure.
I was reading statistics just before it came on, and they're on piss for it at the minute. So statistically, you have to say aye, and then you look at that Europa League. I know it's about a nightmare with rotation and stuff like that there, but I think we're the clear favourites for that trophy, even whenever the Champions League boys drop on in February. And then, as we were saying off camera before, the last 16 that League Cup doesn't look great either, bar Arsenal and us. So look, there's always twists and turns, don't get me wrong, but on paper you're looking statistically they can go for the league. They're on pace for the league, and then the cups as well. We love a good cup.
You were saying maybe quadruple last night to me, so sure you're not.
No, there'll be something worse than off now.
Nashi's saying you need to get off the glue. I think Nashi needs to get off the kebab, to be honest. Gavin's saying Ange just got a refreshing personality everyone connect with in the same way, which probably sparked massive inspiration in the dressing room. I mean, Jared, same question to you. What do you think Spurs can achieve this season? I mean, if they go and beat Liverpool on Saturday, I mean, they've already asked Ange, numerous times, the pundits and the reporters, that, what's the target? He says, I never put a ceiling on what the target is. He goes week by week, and he wants to win every game. So, I mean, can Spurs be involved in the title race, Jared?
I don't think so. We haven't the squad yet, and to be fair, we've played Arsenal, United out of the top 6, and now we'll play Liverpool. If we won that, that'll give us an insight that we're going to probably play good enough this season. But it all depends on injury. Sure, if Madison had a knee, had a jolted, but if it had been any damage last week, we have no cover to play it at where he's playing. Like, who do you play there? Like, with nobody. I think that he'll probably see that when it comes to the winter months and when it comes to the turn of next year. The only thing is you'll Bentancur back now in the next couple of weeks to cover that midfield. Højbjerg, not a big fan, but at the end of the day, it's all down to injuries. Young and Doggy playing.
What I mean by the word can as well, I'm kind of with Spurs only playing once a week. If they were to stay injury free, where do you think they could end up?
Well, they could end up there. Like, I know Kane's away, but and a lot of that team's new. But there is some of them players like a Sonny and a couple of other players that were thereabouts in that team when it pushed them 2 years coming second and third. Like, you know what I mean? Apart from the capitulation at the end when we come third, we should have second right up. Like, but we're in that new stadium. What is it now? 5 years, Gareth.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, 4 of them's been totally disastrous. This season's going so good so far. So we've nothing else to play for the rest of the season. As you say, we keep everybody fit. If we can get decent results along the way, I'm not going to say that we'll beat Liverpool tomorrow, but I'm not as anxious as I was. The reason being because of the way we play. And that's what it's down to. That's what Spurs fans are loving about Ange and loving about the team, that they're playing on the front foot. They're playing a different brand of football that we've been used to over the last 3 years. And it's just so refreshing to see. But I would say I'll go top 4. If we get top 4, because you've Man City, it's always going to be there. Arsenal, to be fair, I think Liverpool's a better squad than Arsenal, apart from Declan Rice. I think Liverpool's a far better squad with the signed and the players they brought on and how Klopp will get out of him. I think Arteta's just like a mental case. I don't know. He's still you see him up and down on touchline. Like, I know Klopp is animated, but I don't know.
In fact, I seen a video on Sunday. Like, it was Kulusevski's running with the ball and he nearly ran onto the pitch, and I think Kulusevski dribbled the ball out, and
right.
Can't believe that hasn't been stamped out. He does need to calm down a wee bit, but. Lads, before we get into it, sorry, go ahead, Jared. No,
but the thing about it is, I've lost my point now. Doesn't matter. Go ahead,
Before we get into this combined 11, I want to sort of get a feel for who's going to be in it. I mean, mates, who's Liverpool's danger man? Obviously we know probably anyway, but you've seen more Liverpool this season than we would. I mean, I didn't see the Liverpool game on Sunday because it was on the same time as the Spurs game, for example. So, I mean, who should Spurs be feared of? Who should we be anxious about when they get the ball on Saturday?
Look, 3 people jump out at me straight away. Supposedly, Núñez and Diaz popped straight up there straight away. Just frightening going forward. You know how I feel about Núñez. I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be a world beater. Supposedly, just since Steven Gerrard, I haven't seen a midfielder boss a game, control a game, dictate the piss a game. For a boy that's only played 6-7 games, like, it's absolutely incredible. And Diaz is really only starting to see now the fruits of him, like coming back from that bad injury. That's all if them 2 play, because like me and Callum said here tonight, we can't pick the first 11 because Klopp rotates and changes. It could be Jota, it could be Salah, you know what I mean? You just don't know what he's going to do. But for me, them 3 are the standout. And that's not even mentioning the Salahs of this world or whatever, like, or even the Trent's going bombing forward and putting balls in the box. So, like, we have a luxury of forward players, like, but definitely I think Spursy in the middle of the park dictating stuff, and then Núñez probably playing down the middle with Diaz on the left and probably Salah on the right. Like, that's where I'm looking at it. I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost.
Cal, what about you? I know you're a massive Mo Salah fan, and I know Meats spoke about this could be his last season. There's so many other good players on the Liverpool side. I mean, who do you see being the match winners for Liverpool on Saturday, and who are the players Spurs really have to try and stop?
I mean, it goes without saying, Salah. I mean, I know he's probably might laugh. Well, not laugh because it's half justified, but I think Salah's probably the best player in the world. The way he's playing, he's an absolute machine. Every time he steps on the pitch, he affects the game, goal or assist, no matter what. Trent on the ball, he's probably behind De Bruyne is the best in the league, and then as Kieran said as well, Boys Sablosley is unbelievable. You should be feared of him on Saturday, and the way Nunes is playing as well, he's the confidence up. Diaz, I'll give a shout out as well to Jones. He's turned the corner as well. So look, I think we're a good unit at the minute. We're going to have the defence back trained today. So you have Trent back, Van Dijk back, Konate back. I think he's in for a shock on Saturday.
I mean, Jared, the boys are talking up some Liverpool players here. I mean, Callum says he thinks Salah's the best player in the world at the minute. I mean, for me, I think James Maddison's been the best player in the Premier League this season so far. What do you think about that?
I definitely is. We haven't had that luxury since Christian Eriksen left us. And to be fair, I always thought Maddison was wild lazy, but he's playing in a Leicester team, probably won the league, and then things went downhill for them, and he didn't get his true potential. And now that he's come onto the club, and Big Ange has put an arm around him and said to him, "No, this is you. This is your stage. Now you go out and do it." To be fair, Liverpool would love Son. All I heard from the last 4 seasons, we're going to sign Son, and Liverpool fans love Son. Son to me is a far better player than Salah, but
come on.
But he is going on current form. But the person I'd be scared of from Liverpool would be Salah, because it's the Harry Kane against Liverpool. The both of them score in this fixture. They always score in this fixture. Salah has a good record against Spurs, but Maddison,
and
Salah,
I think, Jared, the way the game's going to open up, Son will have that space, and I think he's one of them players. He thrives off space on behind, doesn't he?
Oh, he's frightening. You know, look, I know we went through that last year, but him and Salah was Golden Boot winner the year before. So it just shows you, there's no, well, in my eyes, I'll say what I have to say, and I'm sure the young man will say the same, saying he supports Liverpool, but the two of them drew the Golden Boot that season. And to be fair, that was one of Salah's best seasons too. Like, he carried Liverpool when they were sort of, struggling to get, they won that league that year, but for goals wise, and like, since Mane's left, he sort of dropped off a wee bit, but that'll probably come. But speaking about our own players, to be fair, Bissouma's, he's back to his Brighton days, but he's playing, like, when Alexa Maddison and Alexa Bissouma has left Leicester and Brighton, obviously, and they've come to a team like Tottenham, fantastic stadium, atmosphere, electric, and the home fans have seen it. We went away to Arsenal last week. Nobody really, them commentators didn't even chat about Bissouma. Bissouma was head and shoulders over all them midfielders last week. For his work rate, he didn't do a wild lot of the fancy stuff that he's been doing a few weeks there with the turns and the wee flicks out past to get past. But his engine's unreal. I think I like that new Liverpool signing. What do you call him? He's a fantastic player. But I'd say him and Bissouma will have a good old tussle now on Saturday afternoon, like, you know what I mean? So, but to be fair, you'd have to count. Our keeper's done well too, so if you were counting Son, Maddison, Bissouma, and the keeper, and even the two centre halves, Big Mickey's just settled in there along with Cuddy. So easy, and his pace. That's what I think. Nunes will be up against. Nunes is pacey, but Big Mickey can get back too, so that'll be an interesting battle on Saturday afternoon too.
Danny's saying here he thinks it'll be a draw. He's a native fan. He says, got a draw written over from a neutral, heard it here first. Lads, it is that time of the podcast. We're going to try and agree on a combined 11. I had a sort of have an idea of mine. Just thinking about it today. But we're going to do, instead of just putting certs on there, we're going to try and go through it so we've done it properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the two players that are more likely. Everyone's got a favourite. Klopp's got his favourite 11 or favourite 12 or 13. And kind of the same way, Ange. So we'll start off with the goalkeepers, okay? Alisson, widely regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best. Vicaria's come on, done very well at Spurs, but I think you have to put Alisson on there. Would you all agree with that?
Well, definitely. Vicaria's not there long enough to be tested. You know what I mean? He played for, who was it, Bologna? Where did he come from?
Empoli. Yeah. But as I agree, at the moment, I was a wee bit sceptical pre-season of him, but he hasn't let us down yet, and I think he's done most things quite well. But Alisson's a fantastic goalkeeper, and as we said about posts and crossbars, Alisson's made some big saves in this fixture over the last few seasons. And even think back that Newcastle game, Liverpool were 1-0 down. He pulls off that save, that one save of the month. And that keeps Liverpool in the game. So it is 1 Liverpool points. And I think, Jared, that's one, whereas our goalkeepers over the years have been costing us points. But moving on under the right back positions, I mean, Liverpool again have a superstar in Trent. In my opinion, one of the most gifted fullbacks we're ever likely to see. Question marks about him defensively, though. And, we've seen it last season, especially that second goal. Jared, he does switch off at times. And that has where Sean has got a lot of joy. I mean, Pedro Porro had an awful start to his Spurs career, but he looks like a completely different player this season. Just before we sort of pick, I mean, Jared, is that one area where Liverpool are a wee bit, where we can get at them? Sometimes Trent does come way inside and he does switch off at times defensively. Do you think that's one area on Saturday where Spurs need to target?
Well, Son's out on that side, so it's definitely going to be somewhere that we're going to target. And to be fair, if Trent pushes up or tries to, it depends on what team Klopp sets up with. You know what I mean? If Trent's going to be that advanced or what. But at the same way, Pedro Porro going forward now, he looks a different player. But the first 2 games this season, he was still a bit shaky. But then he settled down, and now he's cemented that. Well, he came on, I think. Emerson Royal started one game and he came on halfway through, and then he started the next game. He looked a wee bit shaky, but after that he settled down well. But it's like anything else. It depends on what way the team set up. But I think with Son's capabilities and where he's going to be trying to run, if he plays him as a front striker, like he's not going to be getting on to Van Dijk. So I'm sure Ange is going to be trying to play the ball past Liverpool in certain areas, and they've got him coming up that wing, the interlink to play like so. But talking about players, Trent to me is one's that hands down for his quality of delivery. I know Pedro Porro's not bad at delivering a few corners there we've seen and a few other things, but Trent's ball's as good as anybody. Like he's probably a better free kick taker than what Madison is, to be fair to him, but to me, Trent's better than Porro. Like.
Yeah, I would agree. Lads, before I know you're going to agree as well, but we're going to ask about the twos. I mean, Trent, a fantastic footballer, but mates, are you in the camp of, he'll win you more games than he'll lose you?
Oh, definitely. Like his assist record is ridiculous. You know what I mean? He might concede. You know what I mean? He caught a couple of times too far up the pitch over the halfway line. As Jared alluded there, that's exactly what. If he plays now, I know he has been injured, but you would like to think.
Martin Ward's just saying will Trent start. You seem to think he's
that's what I'm just. That's what I'm just saying. Like, yes, what they play, but like in my eyes, you just throw him straight back on there. But everybody else has been playing well without him, so it could be something Klopp looks at. Let's see how it goes for the first half, and then maybe look at him for the second half if things aren't going our way. If we need somebody to open up the game. But no, as Jared says there, like he hits free kicks, he puts on the corners, his assist record's ridiculous. So 100% you play him as in the mind that he's going to get you far more points, goals than you're going to concede.
Yeah, I mean, Callum, I was going to read James's commentary saying how many times Liverpool come back from getting beat 1-0, and I think Callum says already about the mentality in the Liverpool squad and what Klopp's instilled. I mean, Callum, if we were having a Premier League XI debate of all time, would Trent be playing at right back? Never mind Liverpool and Spurs combined 11.
He's in the conversation. I know, like it's everyone who doesn't support Liverpool is always going to turn around and say, "Oh, like he can't defend," or he's not.
Well, I'm a massive fan. To be fair,
no, I just mean on other people in general. But like, it got that bad at one stage. The Klopp had to explain the risk versus reward of him being up at the pitch. So he's being told to stay where he is. Like, so look, I don't think it's a debate, to be honest. He's that talented. What he gives you going forward, if he's in any way fit for the weekend, he's in, no questions asked. Like.
Yeah, let's move on to the left back situation. I mean, Robertson's been a stalwart for Liverpool. Well, I think it is a situation we're talking about because I mean, Robertson's been a stalwart for Liverpool for a number of years, but I've seen a few Liverpool fans have said he's dropped his level. He's not as good as he was. And I mean, Spurs for me at the minute have one of the best young left backs coming through. Doggy looks really, really talented. I mean, he had a couple of shaky moments against Saka, but largely he dealt with him quite well. especially in that second half. He kept Saka quiet. Not many fullbacks are able to do that. Jared, I mean, what about you? Do you think Udogie could be a really top player for Spurs?
Well, I definitely do. I like he's been Big Ange has shown faith on him from day one and let him stay in there.
He's only 19.
I know, but like you count in your one hand the mistakes he's made. He's made 2 mistakes that I've seen, and like to be fair, a young guy at that age, the commentators alluded to it last weekend. You know, you're getting booked early. It wasn't even a booking, in my eyes. Like, you know what I mean? You get booked early, and you have to play the rest of that game. Most managers would have whopped him off because he's inexperienced, but he stuck to the task. And even going forward, I like him because he does make them runs and he does get up the field and he looks assured. He's just a wee bit green yet. This will be a good test for him tomorrow. But Robertson, I don't know. Robertson just fell, as you said, alluded to yourself. He's fell behind. Don't know whether it's a couple of injuries he had last season, and you know he's still a decent defender. You have to think where he came from, and you know he come from Hull, and he played in Scotland, and then he came to Liverpool, and he came onto a team. Same thing as Ndoggy. Come onto a team. His first season, he blew it away. Like, you know what I mean? He's tenacious. He's always up for the fight. Sort of. See, this is the thing. We have a young new team, and when we go to the midfield, it might sound different.
I think because this game's so early in the season, it's very difficult to judge, I suppose. But I mean, mates, what about you? I mean, out of that back four at the minute, you know, would Robertson be the one that would be most likely to, you know, if for example, if somebody says to you, right, look, in the summer you're losing one of that back four now of Kanate, Van Dijk, Trent, and Robertson, would Robertson be the one you'd be least bothered about?
No, I like Robbo. The man's give everything over the last 4 or 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? He's entitled to a bad spell, but he hasn't even had a bad spell. Mm-hmm. He's just off a ball, maybe slightly. Like, you know, his assists, but it's only the start of the season though. He hasn't been assisting as much or whatever, but you know, he's given everything for a club the last 4 or 5 years. There's still an R2-3 still on him. Like, so no, I'd be more than confident that he does a business for us, like in some way, on Saturday.
And Callum, coming to you before we put the vote out. I mean, from what I've seen of Robertson, I think he wasn't like a flying machine, but he was always quick. I think he's lost a yard. I mean, I've watched Udogie a number of times this season. He's bursting past players. I'm trying to think of if the two players who would be more suited to this Spurs Liverpool combined 11. You know, you've got a young player like Udogie, strong, quick, powerful. You know, do you think there's an argument that he could be more useful in this team than Robertson would be now?
That respect is unbelievable. These boys have been doing it for 5-6 years.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to try and factor on. We have to try and factor on. That's only 6 games, but we're picking some of these players on reputation as well.
Gareth, no, Robertson has both, by the way. But you're talking Van de Ven, you're talking Udogie. That as Jared was saying, it's a young.
We haven't mentioned Van de Ven yet. Give me.
I know you've mentioned Van de Ven to me off camera, so we'll say nothing about that.
Look, I have to try and make this balance. There's a lot of Tottenham fans out there. I'll be screaming at the screen at the minute. So
screaming at the screen. Come on, boys! They've played 6 games in England, and you're trying to put them over Robertson. No chance.
You know what? I'm going to ask Jared because Jared's an honest Spurs fan. Jared, would you swap Robertson for Udogie tomorrow morning if you could, or would you stick with Udogie?
Not a chance. And like, as I said, Robertson's a good defender where he's come and the progression that he's made. But I like Ndoggy. I like the way that he defends and he attacks, and he's so calm. It's as if Ange has his own personality on him. He doesn't go barging. Doesn't, you know? Robson do that, like he's straight on the referee and doing that there. And Doggy just gets on with it, does his job, what he has to do, and plays the game, and that's it. You know what I mean? And to me, I like him. I think he's fantastic. You know.
What about you, mate? Would you be looking? I mean, if you heard Robertson was getting sold and you were signing a Doggy off Spurs, would you be fuming?
Yep, absolutely.
Callum, what about you? You're very much in the Robertson train. So we're going to do that's going to be 2 votes to each. So we're going to put that out to the chat. Any neutral fans maybe want to come on, and we'll come back to that at the end.
Everyone likes Liverpool. You know what way that's going?
No, I think we've had an honest chat room tonight. Right, centre backs. I'm going to name 4 centre backs which I think are the 4 main centre-backs, and we're going to pick 2 from them. So for Spurs, we've got Romero and Van de Ven. For Liverpool, we've got Kanate and Van Dijk. I mean, Jared, you've already mentioned... Jared, you've already said at the start of the show you're a big fan of Van de Ven. Do you think Van de Ven will get on the Liverpool team?
In the present minute, I definitely. But he's but what I'm saying, on current form, and that's all we can take this over is current form. Like Mickey scored an own goal and he gave away a penalty. I hadn't the best of start. You watch him. but listen. He didn't even do a pre-season. He didn't even do hardly a pre-season with Spurs, and he came straight onto that team. And he settled it. It took him a couple of games, but hey, Premier League's the biggest league in the world. You just don't walk into it. Where the likes of other defenders have had time. He's settled down. He's playing with a World Cup winner. Let's remember their centre half.
And what do you think about him? I mean, Callum said he's a liability. What do you see that with Romero? Do you think he's a top centre back or a liability?
Come
That's the
on.
way he plays the game. He plays the game, but hey, you don't get much change out of him. He's on your face and he's all over the top. But he's footballing wise. You look at the way Spurs are playing from the back now, Gareth. They're not scared to play from the back. They look at Arsenal, waited and pressed at the right time, and they passed it round them. You know what I mean? And that's confidence, and that's good footballers. Them 2 lads are 2 good footballers. It's just we didn't see him. The first when Could come at the start, he had a good half season under Conte. And then last season, as I say, the team didn't want to play for Conte after that there. But at the end of the day, Big Mickey settled down well.
So what I'm going to do is before Conte meets, I'm going to ask you, out of them 4 centre backs, who's the 2 you would pick between Romero, Kanate, Van de Ven, and Van Dijk? Who would be the 2 players you would pick?
Well,
Next question.
I would take Romero first day, World Cup winner. He's got everything that he needs to be a top quality centre back. Even the best player in the world, Messi, rates him as the best centre back in the world in his eyes. You know what I mean? So, like Messi's, we can debate this all night, but Messi's not stupid either. Like, you know what I mean? He played a World Cup with him. We've seen him. Then I would go for Van Dijk. Van Dijk's form hasn't been great this last maybe 10 months, but he's still a top quality defender. He's still one of in my eyes, he was the best. He's the best defender for 2 seasons there in that Premier League, maybe 3. So I'd have to put Van Dijk in along with Could.
Mates, what about you? Who would be the 2 centre backs you would choose from them 4? I mean, he's saying about Romero and Van Dijk. Would you be against that at Liverpool? If Romero come on and he play with Van Dijk?
Definitely. I'm going with the 2 Liverpool centre halves myself, and it's not for anything else but common sense.
Cal, what about you?
Boys, it's not even as a bit here. That's Romero. Romero's a good player. Look, he's decent. He's a decent player, but I think he's too rash. But Trent earlier on, look, he'll win you more points than he'll lose you. I think Romero's the opposite. You've seen the own goals, the penalties. He's rash. That's the way he plays. You all like it, but I don't think it's. What
I'm going to do is I think this is unfortunate that this game hasn't. I think when we're doing this at the end of the season, when they play in May, we might have a couple different conversation. I think Van de Ven's definitely going to be a top centre back, and I think Romero. He had a good game on Saturday, I think, in the end. I mean, he had a rash moment with the own goal, but other than that, he couldn't do anything about the penalty, the handball. I thought the defence done pretty well. And I think it's just one of them things that was flagged up that he was involved in 2 goals and they had a bad game, but I thought he done pretty well. And I disagree with you, Cam. I think Romero will definitely win you more points than he'll lose you. But I will be honest, I think Kanate and Van Dijk are probably the more reliable of the 2 at the moment because they've had a lot more time. But I do sense there's a bit more vulnerability in Van Dijk, and we will see on Saturday. And I'll be interested down that side where Van de Ven and Udogie. Salah's a top player, one of the best in the world. Saka didn't get as much joy as he has in previous years. It'll be interesting to see if Salah gets as much joy as he's had against Spurs. So we'll move on to the midfield. Jared, definitely this has been an area where Spurs have been strong this season with Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison. Liverpool, the 3 at the minute seems to be McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Jones. Jared, are we a stronger unit in that midfield than Liverpool?
I would say it's pretty. I've been honest all night. These other 2 idiots here haven't been honest. No, to be fair, Liverpool's midfield's untested. and to be fair, most of ours does too. When you look at it, apart from we know what Basuma brings from the Premier League. Sar's young. It's the same for that new Hungarian midfielder. Isn't he Hungarian?
Yeah.
Like he's had a few games and he's played brilliant every game, untested, the same way as Mickey and Lixon Dougie. But to be fair, I do think that the two midfields are evenly matched. But I just think that with our creative player in Alexa Madison has a wee bit more than what Liverpool have in theirs, you know what I mean? And so I'm going to say our midfield would be, I think, in my eyes, would be a bit stronger. Like.
Yeah, Mates, what about you? I mean, would you be worried about that Spurs midfield? Do you think that's the area where maybe Spurs, we've seen the goalkeeper defence, Liverpool's pretty dominant when we've done them selections. As the midfield, maybe I worry that that's where you see some Spurs players getting in, or the levels are closer. I mean, Basuma's started the season like a train. Back these Brighton days, Maddison's been the most creative player in the Premier League with 4 assists. Is that an area you'd be worried about?
All right. Well, I think it's like I said, as we said at the start of the program, like we've a whole rebuild midfield. You have brought Maddison in, you know what I mean, and all our players now that are starting to come to the forefront now that were brought in before. I think as Jared says, I think it's both teams' biggest test this season. I don't really think that you were overrunning the midfield against Arsenal. So held your own against there, and you were up against Alexa Declan Rice, you know what I mean, for what the title is £100 million, one of the best midfielders in the world. I know he was taken off injured after a while, like, but Jared's bang on, like, Maddison, I think it's
Martin Ward saying he would go with Basuma, Szoboszlai, and Maddison. What would you agree with that?
I would 100%. I would put Maddison on there. Definitely put Maddison on. Szoboszlai again, and then I would give a toss up because McAllister hasn't really hit the ground running. I don't think he's been played out of position a couple of games, so he hasn't really, got a chance to show exactly what he's all about as he was with Brighton. So I think it's a bit of a toss up midfield there, but definitely, as you said, if you're doing this in a couple of months' time, it might be a different story. But I'm going to go with Szoboszlai, Maddison, and I might let you have. No, I'm not going to. No, I'm going to stick with Alistair. No, I'm not doing
it. James Keenan saying Virgil will have a defence sorted comes Saturday. Regular listener, James, thanks. Callum, I mean, you as well. I mean, there is more of a debate here in midfield, as you can see. Meats was struggling there to say Basuma. I think he wanted to say it, but Liverpool took over. I mean, for me, Basuma is, he had a stop-start season last year, as Jared says. Conte didn't seem to fancy him. He was injured quite a lot. But I mean, if you're looking at that, if we're putting Szoboszlai and Maddison in there, is Basuma the better player in that position, defending behind them two? I mean, we've seen he's a lot more athletic than McAllister. He's very strong, physical, and as Jared says, he can play as well with them turns and stuff. I mean, for me, I think this is the area where on Saturday where I think Spurs are really superior on that number 6 role, because I think Basuma's a lot better at it than McAllister. I would see McAllister as more of like a number 8 type of player, and I think it's because of Liverpool's problems, he's going to be asked to play out of position, and I don't think he's got the skill set they deal with someone like Maddison, because I don't think that's his natural game. They have to defend against them. So would that be an area you're worried about on Saturday, that if Spurs are going to win the game, that's where they'll win it in midfield?
Aye, because I was talking about it earlier on. When I was on about a player short, I think the number 6 is the one we're short in. Look, in terms of his combined 11, I think he's have one nailed on, and it's Basuma. I think if we put him on our team, we're a far better team. Szoboszlai's nailed on, and then I had Maddison in during midweek, but now I'm thinking a more balanced midfield. You might have Jones in there. I know Maddison's probably a better footballer, and I'm not debating that at all. But in terms of balance, you might have Jones in there. I think off the ball, you work harder than Maddison, like. But look,
but surely you'd want Maddison's creativity.
Well, not if you have our front three up front. So,
no, this is happening.
Tell me this, right? Let's just say Liverpool had an hour midfielder, right, and it was a toss-up for that attacking role between Szoboszlai and Maddison. Who do you think's the stronger player of them two?
It's hard to say because it's kind of like the defensive argument that we had, where Szoboszlai's away in the door, like, and we've seen what Madison's about. So
no, well, I mean, if you're judging on the first 6 games, forget about what Madison done at Leicester and just focus on what Madison.
6 games, I know. I'll be biased. I'll say Szoboszlai. I think he's unbelievable. Boys. He's a top
over James Madison, who scored 2 goals and set up 4. So he's averaged a goal or an assist a game.
Because I think Szoboszlai's doing a different role in the team.
He's got 2 goals as well this season. Szoboszlai. Arsenal last year.
I think Szoboszlai's doing a
against
role.
Leicester's reserves. That doesn't count, does it?
Jared,
we're coming to you for this. We're coming to you for this deciding vote. I think Bissouma is established on there. Meets is saying Madison, Callum saying Jones. Between them two, Jared, who would you rather have, Madison or Jones?
Think about the balance.
Young Curtis is, to be fair, if you're going to take it an experience and how he's played, Curtis hasn't got a full run that Liverpool team either. He played well. Like he settled into that different position last night and played it well, like, you know, because of injuries, like, or because of squad rotation. But at the end of the day, Madison's like he blew hot and cold. He blew hot and cold, and even that noisy gate from down the road in Arsenal, Paul Merson, like, predicted, you know, that Madison was going to save Leicester last year when he came back from injury, and he didn't. But to be fair to him, if we're taking it over this year, Madison has been head and shoulders. He get player of the month, stands for itself. Ange get manager of the month. And as I said to the guys, Szoboszlai is an exceptional talent. I haven't seen as good a young talent in a long time. But for the same thing, Madison's a new lease of life now at Spurs, and he's shown it. And I think if we keep him fit, we're going to push that top 4 all the way. So I'd have to say Madison, hands down.
Yeah, so it's Bissouma, Szoboszlai and Madison. Right, moving on to the attack, where Liverpool are very, very strong. On the right side, Salah, I mean, renowned as one of the best Premier League players of all time, in my opinion. His goal record's incredible, the consistency levels. Kulusevski plays in right for Spurs. Obviously, he's done quite well at the start. He's fallen off the bandwagon, but he's come on quite strong again this year. But Salah, for me, he's hands down the better player. You would all agree with that?
Yeah.
Lads, we're just going to stick with that for 1 second. But Michi, you've already spoke about Salah, you know, possibly moving on next summer. He would only have 1 year left in his contract. You'd imagine Liverpool get 100 million, maybe slightly more, depending on how they negotiate it. As we've seen, we last summer contracts mean nothing in football. Declan Rice and Harry Kane only had 1 year left and went for mega money. So, I mean, obviously they would have to make that decision. He'd be 31, 32 coming. And obviously the contract's running down. But how big of a task will it be to replace Salah? Meets, you mean, you're talking about this team going for a rebuild at the minute. But, I mean, replacing Salah is going to be very, very difficult as well next summer.
It's kind of an impossible task, really. How do you replace this man? Scored 20+ goals every season. He's been with us, like, it's a ridiculous record he's got. I genuinely don't know. That's why I think that he won't go nowhere until the summer, because he can't be replaced during the season. You're going to have to hunt the world for somebody to fill on that side. It's just that simple. You know, there's not many players that has records or bits records at him as a scoring capacity that he has. I mean, the man's won us more games than enough. I worry about it, like, you know, because that's where a lot of our success comes from, down that right-hand side with Salah. So, and he's our penalty taker and stuff. The penalty taker, I suppose, is easily sorted, like, to pass on to somebody else. But just for his all-round presence in the pitch, you know, he comes onto a pitch starting, you know, the defenders looking, going, geez, I'm up against him today. You know, there's a fear factor automatically in a defender whenever he's on the team sheet, or they're standing looking at them on the pitch. And that only comes with the likes of Ronaldo's and your Messi's. You know what I mean? That kind of fear factor doesn't come with every player. So it's a massive task, and it's going to, as I say, the scouts are going to have to do their work. No.
Would you imagine the wheels are already in motion? Would you imagine Liverpool are scouting for next summer now at this current period?
Definitely. It's already happening. It has to be happening, because Liverpool will accept a deal next summer for Salah if they're getting stupid money like that.
Callum, what about you? I mean, Salah's been one of your favourite ever players at Liverpool, maybe your favourite ever. I'm not sure, but is that one area that worries you? You know, if Liverpool do have a strong season, maybe just come up short, having to replace Salah next summer sets him back again? Or he sort of taking a wee bit of confidence from the Harry Kane situation that, Kane's moved on and Spurs are moving on as well. And Kane's probably in that bracket where, him and Salah and De Bruyne have probably been the three most consistent players in the Premier League over the last 5 or 6 years. And he could possibly argue Kane was just as important or even possibly more important because he didn't have the hour quality around him. So where do you stand on that?
Look, I see it slightly differently. Until Salah shows you any sort of decline, I'd be giving him a new contract next summer. I think Liverpool fan, you can hear it with Meets as well. I think people are kind of resigned to losing next summer, but I don't think it's a guarantee. I think if he's, he got over 40 goal contributions in all competitions last year, if he does that again, I don't see why Klopp wouldn't be sitting down with him and getting a new contract. Sort of, I know people say, oh, he's 31 now or whatever, but look, you're talking about one of the best ever players in England. That's how good he is. Some people might disagree with that. I don't know, but I think he's another 2 or 3 years at the top level. I think it'd be a waste if he went to Saudi Arabia next year. I just can't see it until he starts showing us any evidence that he's declining. I'd be giving him a new contract next summer.
So Salah's definitely in. We've said I'm going to call out some of the other attackers from both sides, and we're going to pick the last 2 positions. Liverpool, you've got Darwin Núñez, you've got Luis Diaz, you've got Cody Gakpo, you've got Diego Jota. Spurs, you've got Brennan Johnson, Richarlison, Manor Solomon, and Heung-min Son. Jared, does Son get into this team? And if he is in your team, do you play him down the middle where he scored his 5 goals this season? Or would you play him off the left where he has been as less effective? Son, again, he's getting to the same similar. He's a similar age to Salah. Maybe Son has lost that wee bit of sort of potency to beat players and go past them. But when he's got that space up behind, as you've seen against Arsenal, he's a devastating finisher in front of goal. So, where do you think Son's best position is now? Is he better off the left, or is he better now down the middle that he's older?
No, he had Kane feeding him when he was down the left last 2-3 seasons. And the balls that Kane was putting under him, Son was he's got the pace. So at the end of the day, playing that forward front striker, playing through, I think he'll scare the life out of Van Dijk and Keontae. You know what I mean? He'll just totally, he'll beat them for pace. And without a doubt, Son has to be in there because he's finishing. I know last year he was off the boil. There was things weren't going right for him. There was just wee touches. But at the end of the day, you look at them 2 finishes against Arsenal. The defenders coming on him, he still slapped. And the second one was just he knew where he was putting it straight away. I think Son's back to his best.
Mates, have Liverpool got anyone as good as Son down the middle?
Núñez.
I'm putting Son on, but I'm playing him off the left. And I'm putting Núñez. Everybody knows how I feel about Núñez. I absolutely love him. I think he's... Keep repeating
So you would play Son off the left and leave Diaz out?
Aye. For what he's done in the game and his consistency over the seasons, 100%. Definitely. And everybody... And Jared says it right. Every Liverpool fan has says over the seasons, we'd love to sign Son. Everybody says it.
John, what about you? What way would you play it with them final 2 positions?
Look, it's difficult. You both Spurs men have just said he's probably not the best off the left anymore, so that automatically means Diaz gets in. So Diaz is in, and then you're talking as a number 9 down the middle. Look, I'm struggling here because I may have to concede and use a probably 3v1, but no, well, he said Núñez as well, so I don't know. But look, I think down the middle as a number 9, I'm taking Núñez, but it's difficult. I'll concede Son.
Right, so let's just say there was somebody else on the left again, right? Just like I said for the last one, and it was down to that middle spot between Son and Núñez. Mates, what way would you go? Because Núñez I can skip the concept that maybe Núñez is more, he's physical, he's tall, he maybe hold the ball up for you a bit better than Son would. But would he score as many goals as Son, and would he miss as many chances as Son is kind of where I want you to focus on, because if Núñez gets them 2 chances against Arsenal, bear in mind, Son had no other chances in the game. Would Liverpool have drew that game 2 each with them chances falling to Núñez?
Well, you have to go off the evidence this year. They 2 goals against Newcastle, he buried them on first goal.
But he missed one against West Ham, didn't he? And he missed a 1-on-1 last night to the scene. So he isn't as clinical. he isn't as clinical as Son, is he?
So Son missed his chances. I've over the years watching
He hasn't missed many this year.
He stopped the bar, he stopped the post. So come on, you're going on with stuff. Son never misses the ball. I don't know.
He never fluffs these lines, does he? He might hit the post and the crossbar, but
I think
let's put it to you, mates. I mean,
you have to remember, Son's the main focal point of Tottenham's attack, where Liverpool have that 5 that interchange, and they've more a threat as a 5. But you take Son on the other hand playing as that front, where Ange has put him on as that focal point at the front, and what he's done has been amazing this year, been on his own. So at the end of the day, if Nunes had to do with play the position that Son's playing and that Spurs team, you take Nunes out of Liverpool and put him in that Spurs team, he couldn't do what Son's doing in that Spurs team. No harm to him.
What about you, mates? I mean, what way do you see it? If it was down to them two for your, if Son was at Liverpool, and Klopp was picking Diaz off the left, who do you think would play through the middle, Nunes or Son?
I think if you had him back 2 or 3 seasons ago, you're going to say it would put Son on, but now at the minute it's Nunes. Like,
do you think Nunes?
Don't forget, I picked him straight away. I picked him straight away down the middle. I says Nunes down the middle, and I would let Son on at the left.
Do you think Nunes will score more goals than Son this year?
Aye,
you do.
Yeah.
100%. Right. So you know what?
He's going to get. He gets chances and chances. He gets 4 or 5 chances a game. You know what I mean? They're unlimited chances he gets playing with that team. So and Son doesn't get 4 or 5 chances a game, as you say. He got
exactly, 2. And that's what I'm trying to focus your head on. That Son's a lot more clinical, isn't he?
Well, no. Nunes first. I'm not disputing.
Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to send the vote around, right? I'm going to kick it off. For me, if I was going this way, I would be playing Diaz off the left and Son through the middle. Jared, what about you?
I go the same. I have Diaz on before. I know he had a bad injury last year, but when he came, apart from he scored. Didn't he score against us last season? Using one, he put just one
the season before he scored a deflected goal.
Aye, that's right. And then, but going on that before he had that injury, Diaz was something else, like Colombian, and I didn't think he'd be as good as he was. And I put Diaz on before now. I know it makes it getting that now. Like when you watch Nunes this year, he's definitely a different player. But when he come, it's like anything else. When he come at the start too, it took him a while to adapt, and like he must. Sure, Liverpool fans are crying out the stuff he was missing at the start. Like the 2 he had against Newcastle, 2 belters. Like, but you never see Son score them type of goals. He's more that Madison type. He bends ones on, or he plays under football to get the goal.
If you watch the Premier League 100 Club, as I said to Calum the other day, I don't think we've had a player that scored as many cracking goals as Son from the box, where he's dribbled past 3 players, or he's put one on right foot, left foot.
The Burnley game, I don't think Nunes could pick the ball from the back and run the way.
We're getting carried away anyway. So, mates, what about you? Them final 2 spots, what way are you going?
I was going to change my mind now just to be annoying because you were winding me up here. No, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to put. I would love Son on my team. If I can fit him under my team, I'm fitting him in. So I'm putting Son on the left and the Nunes down the middle.
All right, Callum.
I have Diaz out left and Nunes up front. There's no room.
So there we go. And we've got 3 votes. We've got 4 votes for Diaz and 3 votes for Son, and only 2 votes for Nunes. So that's the way we're going. Diaz off the left and Son through the middle. That is the combined 11. We've only got 2 votes for Nunes, mates, unfortunately. Diaz and Son outrank them. The only thing left to do is they discuss what the game's going to finish on Saturday. Jared, are you confident going into the game on Saturday that Spurs can get a result and they can win the game? I mean, it's not been a pretty picture playing Liverpool the last 4 or 5 seasons. And as you said, even at times when we have played well, we've often let them in with a mistake, or we've conceded a goal at the end. Will it be different on Saturday?
I definitely think it will be. Like, you experienced the atmosphere this year. I think the fans are behind the team. Ange has got them set up now that they believe in themselves. And the midfield gives you, as you said, gives you extra confidence. I think McAllister, Where I think Liverpool could lose the game is McAllister, South American. The same way with Romero, he could make a mistake and cost us the game. But at the same time, I think our midfield's far, far superior. I know defensively we're going to have to be at the top of our game to keep out that 5, whoever he plays, wherever he rotates. But no, I have good feeling about this one. I think we'll 1-3-2. I think it's going to be a load of goals, but I think we'll 1-3-2.
Mates, will Spurs be able to stop this Liverpool resurgence on Saturday? I mean, Liverpool have enjoyed going to this new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think they've won 4 and drew. Won 4 and drew the other one. It's been a very happy hunting ground for them. It's a big pitch as well, which Liverpool fans tell me it often suits them. They've enjoyed going to West Ham. They've enjoyed going to Arsenal over the years, and Old Trafford. So, I mean, all the science tells you Liverpool's going to turn up and going to make it very difficult. And the chances, because it's going to be so open, I think both teams will get chances. What way do you see it going?
I think I predicted 4-2 the other night in the show that you done during the week. And I did mention to you in the comment that the big pitch would be a factor as well. I just think we're going to come on. I think we're going to be too strong. We've got basically every area covered from midfield now to the front. And I'm going to keep faith with Callum telling me that the back four's finally sorted now. So he's given me a serious boost of confidence tonight by talking about that. So, no, I think 4-2, there's going to be a bucket load of goals, but I just think we're going to have a wee bit too much fees just yet.
Martin Ward saying he thinks it could be 2-2, but then he's heard say it's 3-2, but there's no way Spurs will win. James is asking, does he think anybody will get sent off? Callum, what about you? Do you think, red cards could come into play because both teams are going to be playing such an attacking brand, especially in the second half? The game could get stretched. Could that be a factor? And overall, how do you see it going on Saturday?
Red cards are always a factor, especially us this season. I don't know if we've had two already. It's a bit of a mad one, but look, I think you have to capitalise on the fact that we start slow. We always seem to go on 1-0 half time at the minute. But we haven't conceded a goal past the 42nd minute, which I was reading earlier on. So, look, I actually said 2-1 midweek in the comments. I don't know what I was thinking. I must have been as confident as I am tonight, because I'm thinking I'm going for our favourite score down at the minute, 3-1 Liverpool.
3-1.
I just think we'll have too much fees, honestly. I just can't see it. I can't see how you deal with our attack or from 5, no matter who we start. I just don't see it.
I think Jared says we had that sorted with Mickey van de Ven.
Look, I know you have your midfield, and your midfield's a good midfield, don't get me wrong, but look, I don't know. I can't see past Liverpool on Saturday. I really can't.
Do you know what? I have been skeptical on predictions this season. Arsenal says 2-2. I got that one right. I just think we'll get so much. Jared, I don't know what you think. We'll get so much confidence out of that. The fact that we've recovered the most points from losing positions this season. I think Liverpool may be second, actually. And if you look at both teams this season, as you said, Callum, you've been slow starters. I think Spurs as well have come back a number of times. I don't think the first goal is going to be that important as it would be in our games this season. I think both teams are capable of coming from behind. I mean, all the pundits are sort of saying they think it could be a high-scoring draw. I think Liverpool definitely have the quality in attack, and if we give them chances, they will punish us, especially if Salah gets them. But the one confident booster, as Jared spoke about, is that midfield. I think Spurs do have the upper hand on there, physically and technically, and I think Spurs will see off Liverpool. I think it'll be a 3-1 Spurs 1. I think that's what'll happen.
Someone clip that up, would you?
I'm going to stick my head on it. But look, before we finish up the podcast, lads, just going to do what we do every Thursday or Friday night before a game. We're going to whiz through the hour games. I know we've been on quite a bit. But there is our fans watching of our teams, so we'll do this quite quickly. The weekend starts off with Aston Villa and Brighton. Absolutely cracking contest between two teams who have been doing pretty well this season. Villa have struggled against the better teams, though, whereas Brighton have done quite well. Jared, what do you make of these two teams this season? A lot of pundits tipped up these two teams to actually be better than Spurs. What do you think of these two?
Well, to be fair, we talk about the home team first of all. Villa had a good result against Chelsea. Other than that, their season's been probably sort of start-stop sort of season. So at the end of the day, it's probably taken their new players a lot longer to settle on than it has with Brighton. Brighton had their own changes. Young Ferguson had that hat-trick and sort of lit up their season, but they've, apart from, was it that Europa Conference League match that they lost, they haven't lost a game. And they're continuing on where they left off last year. Like, you think the players that Brighton's lost, and they're really, really tearing up the Premier League, because they're that's the thing about it. What do you call him, Robbie, the manager boy? They say, me and names don't go too well, but he's installed that football onto them, and they're playing free flowing football, and they're brilliant to watch. I like watching Brighton now compared to, like, you think people talked about Potter being a great manager, but this other guy's really, really, really set Brighton fans thinking what they can achieve here. You know what I mean? So they lost their best player too, but no, Brighton's a good team away too. They've done well in their travels this season, so I can't see nothing else but a Brighton one.
Brighton one. But Meets and Callum, I suppose you might have one eye in this game, because Liverpool go to Brighton next Sunday. Part of a bumper Super Sunday, which sees Brighton take on Liverpool at 2:00 and Arsenal against Man City at 4:30. Just one of them Sundays that nobody will want to do anything apart from watch two great games. But I mean, Meets, have you been impressed with Brighton this season? A lot of people expected them to drop off again after losing players, but again, they just look like they're going to kick on. Villa have done pretty well at home this season. It's been away from home they've struggled, although they did lose in the Cup to Everton midweek. I think this is a great game to kick off the weekend.
That's a cracker. It's another game too. I think it's going to be full of goals. Both attacking teams, free-flowing football. Emery is renowned for playing that game of football. Brighton's basically kicked off exactly where they left off last season, even though they lost a bunch of players. I think their seasons are going to be hampered with Europe. You know what I mean? I think you might start seeing them stuttering a wee bit after the European, when it kicks off, and it's every other week it's on. So I think a 2-2 draw for this weekend.
2-2 draw. Callum, I suppose when you look at it in isolation, these two games for Liverpool for the next 2 weeks, Spurs away and Brighton away, probably two of the hardest away games you could have at the minute. Both teams are playing some super football and full of confidence. So how do you see Brighton coping with Villa? Villa have sort of flattered to deceive whenever they've played a team of stature. I know you could say Chelsea, but Chelsea have been struggling as well. And I mean, if they don't turn up against Brighton will pick them apart. So where are you thinking this game's going to be at this weekend?
Hey, it's a cracker, as they say. They start the weekend off. I agree with what the lads are saying. Look, it's a really, really difficult one to call. Villa far better at home than they are away. Brighton playing well. They have that. And then I know Villa have the midweek games too, but I think Brighton, it might end up catching up with them eventually. I agree with you, mate. I was going to say a score draw. I'll go 2 each as well. I think it's going to be a cracker to start us off, but hard game to call.
Would you take 4 points out of Brighton and Spurs if somebody offered you it now, lads?
Well, Spurs is always free, guaranteed. So
not this Saturday.
And then no, look, I ain't got them on it. We're that good. I'd be looking at 6 while they were playing.
3:00 games, lads. We'll just do these quite quickly. Score predictions for Bournemouth, Arsenal, Jared. I mean, Arsenal, they've dropped 4 points at home now, and I mean they've got Man City at home next week. I mean, they need 6 points out of these next 2 games. I mean, if they were to won on Saturday and lose to Man City, that will be 7 points behind, providing City beat Wolves, which you would expect they would. Big couple of weeks for Arsenal. Jared, do you worry about Arsenal this year? I mean, we were all kind of bricking it last year when we were having a tough time. There was always that risk that Arsenal could win the league, but do you think we're going to have any worries this year? Or do you think Arsenal will come back strong after that sort of draw last week?
Look, I can't see them won the league on the basis that they'll not be fit to keep everybody fit. It's shown already that Rice has got that problem. He didn't play midweek, but he might play tomorrow. But Arsenal do have to win this game. There's no doubt about it. It's a tricky fixture going to go down the south coast. Bournemouth will play sort of attacking football, but they'll sit deep. They'll probably play in the counter attack. But Arsenal need like Alan Smith comes on last week and says, if we have a striker, we would win the league. Like, they have a stick of Jesus. and they've got what do you call
Who?
it? Jesus.
I was going to say the boy you're talking about.
That team, they won everything. No, I think Arsenal won it easy. To be fair to them, they've got the squad. But the thing about Arsenal is they might learn them from last week about the celebration song and up the field and scoring. It was the same for a couple of games there that they've.
What was it? What did Son do? What was it Son done? Sorry, what did he do?
Sorry, when Son went up the field after Saka scored and Arsenal were still in celebration mode, like they bring it back to 2 each, like Arsenal.
That's for Son done the shish, didn't he?
Aye. But at the end of the day, like when they beat United, like they celebrated that was the last minute, and they're right to do it. But he seemed, I don't know, something about Arsenal. I think.
Do you think Arsenal get carried away with these celebrations a wee bit?
Oh, big time, definitely. But sure, what do you expect when cat? He's like a cat stuck in a cage, going up and down on lines.
Meets the Arsenal get back to one ways on Saturday.
Aye, definitely. I reckon I bet them 3-0. I think it'll be very easy, very comprehensive one now.
Full house, Cal. What do you think?
No, I actually disagree. I think Arteta, speaking about Rice and Saka, might be out. If they're both out, it's going to be a struggle. Look, it depends if M2's fit. If M2's fit, I agree with the lads. It's a full house, but if M2's not fit, I'm going for a 0-0.
0-0. Everton take on Luton. Massive game. Everton got that big one last week away to Brentford. No one gave them much of a chance, and they follow that up. We have midweek one in the Cup away to Villa. Maybe Everton are turning the corner. Obviously, at the start of the season, Sean Dyche says that their points didn't reflect their performances, and their XG did back it up. They probably should have had more points. Luton at the minute really struggling. Got their first point last week, but Jared, do you think this is a sort of Derby County case with Luton, that they're just miles off the level and it's going to be a massive struggle to stay in this league?
Aye, it definitely is. I thought Luton would have been a wee bit better than what they were, and they haven't. Even the Fulham game, they were poor that night. Like the first game that they had at home, and you'd think it's going to be a sticky one for them. That first home game, and they didn't really offer much. But Everton too, like Sean Dyche, I can't watch Sean Dyche's teams. They're just so boring. It minds you, I know Conte's a bigger name, but it minds you in Conte. Just so drab football. Like it's just. I was
actually listening to Everton. I was actually listening to an Everton fan on Talk Sport there the other day. He says he was having trouble sleeping, so he turned on a couple of matches and he was solved the problem.
I know. I'm going for a score draw here. I think Luton will score eventually, and that point will help them. Give them a wee bit of confidence. But I don't see nothing really with Everton. They rely too much on the two new signings, and they're not. We had the same last year, and Conte wouldn't play him, like, you know what I mean? But when he did play him, he done all right. So they're going to rely on them two boys up front to score the goals for him. But it's one each I go for.
Mates, what about you? Everton, it looked like they were going to be really struggling up until last week, and they got 2 wins back to back. And you could argue Luton at home's a favourable fixture. They make a 3 out of 3. Do you think Everton will continue their resurgence on Saturday?
I go for a comfortable 2-0 victory for Everton. I think, and just based on the back of the last 2 games, 2-1s. It pains me to say it, but I think because how bad they are, the actual bottom 3 are, that Everton will actually be saved from a drop this year because of the rest of it, that drab. But I can't see Luton getting anything of any game that they play. Genuinely, they're so poor.
They do play Spurs next Saturday, so that's the type of game that Spurs have slipped up on over the years. Callum, what about you? Sorry, go ahead, mate.
No, all right, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I agree with mates, to be honest. Look, Everton has a wee bit of a patch here. Now they won the last 2 games. I watched the Brentford game last Saturday, and they were unfortunately class. The way they played. Brentford just shot the bed, to be honest. But I think they're not a team full of goals here, so I'll go for a 1-0. I think it'll be Luton will sit in deep, or that's what they're going to do every game. But I'll go for a 1-0 Everton.
I think Meats makes a great point. That do you think Everton have been very fortunate that there's it looks early day, it is early days, but there's a very weak bottom 3. The 3 that come up look one of the 3 years.
the last 2 years now they've been flirting with relegation. Like, so look, it wouldn't shock me if they go down this year, but it's and them 3 teams look really poor. So the only one I predicted that would stay up will be Burnley, but the way they're playing, I'm not so sure.
Forest might, when they get going, Forest might push Everton too for that. Everton's going to be on and around about that. I don't think they're going to be mid-table. They're going to be flirting with relegation too.
Man United, 3:00 against Crystal Palace. United fans seem to have come back with it again. They says that they've turned a corner, beat Burnley last week. Johnny Evans is a new. It's that pass he played. I don't think even he believed he could play it, but he did. Picked out a wonderful pass. He gets a big TV interview at the end. But I mean, if I was a United fan at the moment, I'd be very worried that Johnny Evans is my star player, and they're raving about Reguilon, who Jared will tell you he couldn't get into the Spurs reserves. He was that poor. Callum, we'll start with you because I know you've spoke about United a number of times this summer, and you said to me that they won't be anywhere near top 4. Do you think that, even if they get past Palace, that there will be a reality check around the corner for them? Or are you buying into this that they've turned a corner?
Absolutely not, because you look at I remember, I know they end up winning the game, but I predicted Forest to beat them, and that first 20 minutes when they went 2-0, but the warning signs are there for Man United. They beat Burnley last week. And Burnley had 70% possession. I don't think they'll have that all season against probably Luton maybe in Sheffield. Well, I got 70% possession. Have you said to anyone, no, Burnley's going to get 70% possession against a top 6 team? Everyone will probably be saying United, because I don't think they get it to any other team. Like, so.
Do you think they've been fortunate with some of these fixtures? I mean, Palace look very poor at the moment. I mean, they beat them in the
cup anywhere. If it goes anywhere, like the league game, their League Cup game there, a midweek, it'll be another easy one. But look, the warning signs are for Man United. I don't think it's going to last.
Mates, what about you? I mean, I know you're no United lover, but I mean, are you enjoying that United have been struggling? Do you foresee that even if they beat Palace after the international break, they've got a tough run of games coming up? Do you think that it'll be very much we'll be laughing at United again in 3 or 4 weeks' time?
Oh, definitely. That's why. I mean, that's just like saying like it's going to rain here, like it's Christmas, like it's a fucking circle. They're useless. And it's great to see. Don't get me wrong. And they keep thinking about their club. To be fair, is rotten from top to bottom. The manager's out of his depth. His players fighting him left, right, and centre. He's no control of the dressing room. They're just an absolute shambles.
Do you think he'll be there for the first game of next season?
No.
You don't?
No, I just can't see it.
And final question, score prediction for Saturday?
I go and say all that, but they're going to win 2-0.
Jared, what about you? Is it a full house for this? Do you think United will beat Palace?
I think United will beat Palace. They're struggling along, but at the end of the day, I agree with Meats. I don't think the manager's going to be there to start the season. I think the players are totally now, well, there's a small minority that's trying to push out there, but like I say, when you look at that back defensively, Martinez isn't the same player as he was last season so far. And Ericsson hasn't no big shakes. Like I thought when he came back to United, he was going to be a completely different player and start to show what he was all about at the same time he's with Spurs, and he's not. And then, to be fair, the new centre half they have has shown that he's willing to fight for the cause and play for the manager. But United fans will tell you themselves it's this Glazer thing and this whole heresy up at the top and club not being sold and stuff like that. That's what they're putting it down to. But obviously it's rattling the whole way through the club, and Ten Hag's not getting a tune out of most of his big players. Fernandes been shocking. Fernandes has been the biggest shock to me this year. I know he scored a good goal. Was it they scored the other night? Last week, he scored a good goal. But to be fair, against us, there was maybe 7 of them didn't turn up that day. Like, you know what I mean? They were shocking. Like,
Jared, we'll stay.
I'll go for a 2-0 United.
2-0 United. We'll stay with you for this one. Newcastle, Burnley. Newcastle seem to have got their house in order, starting to win games again. Beat Sheffield 8 last week. Beat Man City in the Cup midweek. The sense that Newcastle have turned that corner from the start of the season, and again, another favourable fixture at home. They'll continue that.
Well, these are cup games. Like, we went out in penalties, and everybody thought it was the end of the season. We played a weakened team. And to be fair, Man City has to ring of changes if they're going to try and play for what they're playing for that they won last season. To be fair, Newcastle's a good enough squad, but to be fair too, I don't think they've set the Premier League elite yet. Whether or not it's building that way, it remains to be seen. Eddie Howe's a top coach, but I don't know. I fancy Burnley. Listen, I fancy a draw. I think that Burnley will start getting the rewards for as young, what do you call them, said there, 70% possession against, was it United, was it?
Aye.
You know what I mean? So they're going to sit tight and it'll come good for them. I think they'll score. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Mates, what about you? Newcastle, Burnley?
I think Newcastle continue their good form. They won easy 3-0.
Callum?
I think Burnley will play under Newcastle's hands. I'll go for 2-0 Newcastle.
2-0 Newcastle. West Ham, Sheffield United, lads. I mean, Sheffield were absolutely torn to pieces last week by Newcastle. Usually when a team gets beat that bad, they always do respond. If you think about Southampton, I think they're beat 9-0, come back and won the next week. Usually when teams get an absolute piston, they usually do respond. West Ham started the season quite well. Obviously lost to Hughes last week, but I think they competed for most of that game. And as you see in them bad games, they aren't too worried about having the ball. It's more about counterattacks. Very different game at home against Sheffield, where they'll be expected they dominate. Jared, do you see West Ham beating Sheffield?
Oh, without a doubt. There's a managerial change coming there soon. It's inevitable that he's going to lose his job. And
all the talk is Chris Wilder could be coming back in, so there's no way fire.
It seems that it's affecting the players. To be fair, they did when we dominated them. They got that goal.
Do you think that Spurs break their resistance with them 2 late goals?
Hey, it's like any of them teams playing at the bottom 3, they get a goal up and
they're bringing it Spurs, Jerry.
It's going to be one of them days, but it just showed you. I think the quality in Spurs that day just showed that, and the doggedness that they weren't going to give up, that left at the Sheffield United. Even watching it, you knew if we get 1 goal, we get 2 that day. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about Sheffield United. If they concede, you know you're going to score again. So West Ham's playing well. West Ham went to Liverpool last week and played decent enough. You know, they held them well and tried to play a bit of football in the counter-attack. And the likes of Antonio and, you know, it'll bully the centre halves and the likes of Bowden, young Bowden there's playing fantastic, best football his career so far. So I see nothing but a West Ham 1. I'll go 3-0.
Mates, what about you?
I agree with Jared there. Definitely Sheffield United completely out of their depth this season. West Ham, a bit with Man City too, a bit with Liverpool. Only got a wee 1-0 last night away to Lincoln City, I think it was. So yeah. Moyes has been looking for a performance off Emmons, never mind Wilder or Sheffield United man looking for a performance off his crowd. So I think it's one-way traffic again. I'll go with Jared's scoreline 3-0 West Ham.
Callum, full house?
100%. I haven't been my last man standing. There's only 2 men left here, so me and another boy. So come on, West Ham Saturday. 2-0.
Final 3:00 game sees the leaders and champions, Man City, aiming to make it 7 out of 7. I mean, Callum, I'll stick with you for this one. You know, as if frustrating that, you know, even if Liverpool were to beat Spurs and Brighton, and if Man City were to go beat Wolves and then beat Arsenal, almost feels like an impossible task chasing them.
We've been doing it now for 6 years. I know we've had a couple of off seasons, but that's just the life of a Liverpool fan now since Klopp's been there. You just have to, especially when it comes to around March, April and stuff like that. There, a draw feels like a loss. I remember Kjaer said that there a couple of years ago. A draw feels like a loss. So, Man City are a machine. They always are. They always will be until Pep leaves. But look, I think it's gonna be 4-0 on Saturday. The Man City, I don't think Wolves even touch them. It's the footing that they always won, but you just have to keep going.
Mates, I mean, I think after last night, Pep will want a response, and Wolves could really, really suffer at the hands of Man City because, again, looking at them today, when they lose a game, they usually respond emphatically. So do you think Wolves, bad time for them, are going to be like a Man City team? How do you prove a point?
Oh, big time. I couldn't have came at the worst time for them. They get knocked out to Ipswich during the week. And Pep goes for every trophy, regardless if he's playing a second string side, which is better than most Premier League teams' first choice. So he does not like defeat. He does not like getting knocked out of trophies. I'm 100% with Callum. It's a 4 or 5-0 for me. I'll go 4.
Jared, what about you? Is it a full house? Man City going to make it 7 out of 7?
There's no point even talking about this. Like Gary Neal's out his Gary Neal's out his depth, and Pep just is a machine. And to be fair, Man City will be looking for a reaction after this. So I go 4-0, keep it full house.
We will come back to this Spurs Liverpool at the very, very end again. They run through their predictions. Nottingham Forest take on Brentford, and there is only one Super Sunday game this weekend. For anyone that wants to know why that is, it is because of the Ryder Cup, which is going to take centre stage on Sunday evening. It is
alarm set for 5:30 tomorrow morning.
Normal service will resume next weekend, as we talked about, Brighton, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. I mean, just before we talk about it, I mean, see, looking forward to the Ryder Cup. I mean, you'll not be too interested in Nottingham Forest and Brentford, I would imagine.
No, I'll definitely be watching the Ryder Cup. As I said, like 100%. My alarm set for 5:30. Up, get a cup of tea, sit down for 6. Day booked off work, all weekend off.
Who do you fancy?
Oh, Europe all the way. Just seen the foursome pairs there for the morning, so pretty confident with that.
Seen it finishes with the single matches too, which will be brilliant. So, Jared, come to you. I mean, Nottingham Forest, Brentford. Forest seem to be a very strong home team. Brentford, I think, for the very first time now, I've seen the last few weeks, really starting to struggle without Ivan Toney. I mean, I think Brentford could definitely be one of the teams that slide a lot this season. Finished 9th last year, so it's going to be very difficult. They sort of get that high in the league, and apparently Toney could be moving on in January anyway, so he may well have played his last game already for Brentford. How do you see this game going?
It's got, look, at the end of the day, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, none of the teams been hitting the ground running this year. To be fair, when you look at who Forest have brought in, their signings is better. They lost, obviously, young Johnson to us, but at the end of the day, I think Forest at home, we tight ground. I suppose Brentford's a small enough ground too, but I think Forest will have got too much for them up front. I go for a Forest 2-0 1.
Mates, what about you?
I'm going to agree with everything Jared says there. Brentford definitely falling off the boil. And again, I don't see them pulling up many trees this year, especially. I don't think Tony's going to be available all year, because I do think he's going to go to Arsenal or Chelsea in January. But even in saying that, they look lost up front. No, I mean, there's nobody holding up a ball. He held up a ball, made all them passes and created play, and they just don't have it. That's it. And they've also lost Raya too, the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? So the defense is more questionable this year as well. So no, I actually agree with Jared. I'm actually just going to go 1-0 for Nottingham Forest. I do think we'll beat them. And again, I think it's going to be a long season for Brentford, but because of the state at the bottom of the league, I don't think they've anything to worry about.
Callum, what about you? I mean, the boys fancy Forest. Are you in that camp?
I mean, I've slightly favoured them, but I think they might not be as clinical as you would want them to be. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think it'll be a tight game.
And Monday Night Football returns after the Ryder Cup. Fulham, Chelsea, West London derby. I mean, Chelsea just about got a goal in for the September Goal of the Month awards. Jackson scoring last night in the League Cup. I mean, I think obviously they needed the result, but the focus shifts back to the Premier League. Can't seem to buy a goal or one, and Fulham away, tight ground. Monday Night Football fans will be up for it. It'll be a difficult game. Jared, I mean, are you surprised Chelsea have struggled? I mean, Pochettino, we thought maybe we'd get a tune out of them. I know it's very early days, but really struggling at the moment.
They are, and it shows that job's a poison chalice. Maybe it's just Poch's own luck. He hadn't much luck with us. And he's not, well, he lost the first, what was it? He lost the first 3 with us, didn't he, when he managed us, and then he started to hit the results in. But it's a different pressure probably at Chelsea, because the money they spent and the likes of Bowley and them, and the pressure's on from the top too. But I just don't think it. As he Poch's signings, and he can't seem to gel that team together. Casado, when he's come on, he hasn't done what he's done with Brighton, and that's probably playing with a big club now. But well, like any London derby, you can never call it because it's usually tight. You can usually say, in years gone by, Chelsea were always too strong for Fulham. But the only thing I would fear of Fulham even getting a point out of this game is they lost Mitrovic, and they don't seem to have a focal target. Since that, Bobby Smith and them boys are mediocre. Like they're dead on players, but they're nobody really they can rely on up front.
Bobby Smith.
What do you call a wee black boy? Is he Bobby? What do you call him? Hey,
Bobby
Hey.
Bobby Smith runs around Leafair on a Saturday morning.
Maybe it was him I seen. He's probably quicker than that other Bobby. No, to be fair, Chelsea's been struggling. Like they've definitely struggled, and their keepers changed 2 keepers in 3 years, wasn't it? 2, like so. And they haven't hit the ground running, but Poch is on the pressure. So,
oh fuck!
That's sorry guys, I thought that's what you call them. This shows you I don't watch Fulham too much. But no, I think Chelsea will script this 2-1.
2-1. Mates, what about you? Bobby Smith to get the winner.
Bobby Smith used to play for Spurs. Sorry, that's who Bobby Smith played for.
I was thinking.
Belter. I think that's a tough game for Chelsea here, and his job is on the line. I mean, there's a lot of pundits saying that after there's won something a couple of games before the international break.
The two games before the international break, Fulham away and Burnley away. If they lose both them games, will he be in charge after that?
It's a tough one to call. I mean, it does need time. There was £1 billion spent, and you do. I mean, most clubs will give you a season. They try and get, like Ange is going to get a season. You know what I mean? And he's going to probably get more than that, but you don't get that with Chelsea. It's just the way it is. If they can't beat Fulham and they can't beat Burnley, it has to be questioned. Jesus, like all the money they spent, it has to be questioned. But I think it's an absolute banana skin for Chelsea. There on a cold, wet Monday night, and there's not much worse grounds to go to. As Jared says, like, and we tight grounds going up against boys like Bobby Smith and that. But, you know what I mean? They're not going to. But I'm going to actually.
Bobby Smith will be impossible to mark because he's a ghost. Nobody's ever seen him before. So
I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham.
Callum, what about you?
I don't know why my head's gone after all that now. No, I can't call it, to be honest. I know Chelsea. We've all been talking about Chelsea. They spent all this money. They're nowhere near the level, but look, Fulham's no better, to be honest. I think everyone's kind of back and Fulham just off the back of Chelsea being as poor as they are. I think it's going to be a stinker match. I'm going to go for a 0-0. I don't think either team's good enough to score goals at the moment.
Yeah, and the football weekend finishes off with the rearranged Luton Burnley game from the game week 2. Massive game for both teams. That is going to be absolutely huge. How do you see that going, lads? Quite quickly. Both teams there are going to be under that game with huge pressure on the line. How do you see it going, Jared?
I'll be in my bed. I don't care.
You're dreaming of Bobby Smith scoring.
It doesn't interest me one bit, Luton and Burnley, none of the two of them, but I'll go away. I'm not even going to waste my time in it. I'm going to go Burnley to get their first away 1-2-0.
2-0. Mates?
Oh, this has been brilliant. Quality. Gee, I'm trying to get myself together here. No, I'll go for he's going to be on Fox Hub looking for Bobby Smith. I'm going. I'm with Burnley 1-0. I'm done with it, boys.
What about you?
Oh, jeez. No, on a serious note, if Luton can't get a result against Burnley at home, they're not going to get a result against anyone on the whole season. So I think you just have to back Luton off that there. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Luton 1.
We have a couple of comments here. Over £1 billion spent, that says it all. I think he's referring to Chelsea. And somebody saying here, I'm sure Liverpool will beat Spurs if they play an open game like Arsenal. They'll be too vulnerable against Liverpool attack. And lads, we're going to finish off the show by running through that one more time. I want to thank you for coming on. Been a really, really entertaining show. I'm sure the guests have loved it. There's been a good crowd watching all night. Plenty of comments. Thanks for them comments. I mean, Jared, before we go, where are you watching the match on Saturday? And give us your prediction again.
I'll be watching the match at home here. With the two wee girls have a Saturday off for a change. So
Bobby Smith coming round to watch the match, or what's the story?
We'll have to dig him up. I think he died maybe 15 years ago. Like so. No, I'll be watching it at home with wee cubbies there, and I think I'm going to stick with my prediction 3-2 to Spurs.
Mates, where about you? Where are you watching the match on Saturday? You know, and you looking forward to it? And what's your score prediction again?
I'll go 4-2 Liverpool, and I'll be sitting in the living room with a nice pint of Guinness, watching it after watching the Ryder Cup. So looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Callum, obviously I'll see you on Saturday. We're going to watch the match on the rocking chair. You looking forward to it? And score prediction again?
I can't wait to it. It'll be good to watch the match for you. A couple of pints of Guinness to myself, probably. Look, I don't know. I'll do you know what? I'll bump it up just for a bit of crack on the stream. I'll go 4-1.
Well, I says 3-1, and it's the weekend of miracles. Bobby Smith scored a hat-trick for Spurs. That's the way I see it going. Lads, thanks very much for coming on. Anybody watching, make sure to like a video and subscribe to the channel. Boys, absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Gareth.
Likewise.